Hello everybody and welcome to another exciting episode of Guapish, your favorite writing-based podcast. That's right, we're doing another writing challenge today, and there's only 3 of us, unfortunately, that being me, Jackson, my special guest, Nico.
That's right, folks, here I am yet again to cast my pearls to these dang old swine.
And of course we have our modern-day Aristotle, Tanner.
That's right, everyone. Have you ever thought about what if things were what they are, but not what they is?
Yeah, shut up. Anyways, we are doing a Shonen World writing challenge. We all were tasked with creating our own Shonen World, maybe even an isekai, if you want to look at it that way. I don't know if we all even have isekai elements in ours whatsoever. Mine's like a slide. Regardless, anybody really confident they want to start us off here?
I think it'd be best for me to start off.
Okay, go for it.
I agree.
Alright, so I did in fact go under the assumption that this was meant to be an isekai, so here we go. This is the isekai Tanner created. So the title of this one is That Time I Was Late for School Because I Stayed Up All Night Playing the new Sword Art Online expansion, which added a new Slugger class which uses a baseball bat sword, which, like, whatever, I get that baseball is popular here, so I got hit by a bus which launched me into the air, causing me to bounce off the hood of a taxi. Luckily for me, right behind that taxi was an ambulance, and so they were able to immediately start providing emergency aid, and you know, this paramedic girl giving me chest compressions is kinda cute, but I've never asked a girl out before, and then at the hospital they accidentally gave me a medication that I was fatally allergic to, and I reincarnated as a bowl of curry and was immediately eaten and reincarnated as that dog that got launched into space by the Russians, but on an alien planet. But they could tell something was off with me and used some kind of ray gun in theaters next summer to launch my soul back into the well of souls, and I was reincarnated as my sister's panties. Well, stepsister, so you know, I was kind of, you know what, I'm not gonna comment anyway. She's in college, and like 15 minutes later, her boyfriend came in her dorm and literally ripped me to shreds, and I reincarnated as a talking squirrel in a fantasy world. So I was like, sweet, my own harem anime, and I went to hit on a busty woman in a purple cloak, and she fucking vaporized my ass, and I reincarnated as my original body's cell phone right before that bus hit me, and then I reincarnated as a Rubik's Cube that can talk whenever I'm solved, but unfortunately the kid who owns me is really dumb and just got bored of me, and so I sat in a closet until the heat death of the universe, at which point I reincarnated as American founding father Thomas Jefferson, and not to get all controversial, but let me just say Sally Hemings was into that shit, and after my presidency I went to India to consult the Buddhist monks on how to escape the wheel of samsara, but unfortunately my European blood left me totally unprepared to fight off malaria, and I died shitting myself to death in Calcutta, but then I got reincarnated as a normal dude in just like a vaguely futuristic city, but not in a dystopian way, and things are pretty chill so far. The end.
What a title.
Fantastic. So
Very silly.
So is that the entire thing?
Yes. Like I said, the bit of my thing, is a lot funnier had we not waited a fucking month to do this.
I would concur. I still think the idea is funny. I kept thinking, I was like, this is a pretty long title, and then it just kept going, and then it just kept going.
Yeah, then I realized, oh yeah, this is just the entire thing.
This is just the plot. You could have ended off as him just being some normal dude, and then just wrote a really boring-ass fucking story about some guy just, like, going about his day.
I mean, that is kinda how it ended. It ended with him getting reincarnated as a normal dude in just like a vaguely futuristic city, but not in a dystopian way.
I more meant like that's that whole spiel was like your title, but then like the actual story is just like he's just like going about his fucking day.
Oh, gotcha.
So like it's just, yeah. I think that would have honestly maybe taken away from the bit, but you know, I like it. I think it's funny.
It's very funny.
It's a silly idea.
Not much of a world here, but you know, it really paints a good picture.
So mine is also very unserious, but I would say it's much more of like a fleshed out universe. Do we want to do, I assume yours is going to be more serious than mine, Nico. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Do we want to go like unserious, serious, unserious?
Sure, we can do that. Mine certainly isn't as jokey, I would say.
Okay, mine's on like probably the middle of the spectrum between you guys, I would assume.
Alright folks, so here is the fun little shonen world I've put together here for us. So, obviously, to start with, let's just kind of get into the thought process of what we're doing here. So obviously isekai are huge, right? Like, we gotta cash in on that shit. We need to make whatever we're making here an isekai. Now, the next question is, what would the ultimate isekai be?
I don't know.
As you can see up at the top, question for the audience: what would the ultimate isekai be? I'm looking for audience participation here. I'll tell you what, guys, I will be keeping score on your audience participation, and whoever has the most audience participation by the end of this will be getting a head start in the next quiz I do.
Are we the audience?
Yes, it's you two.
What?
I think the ultimate isekai would be a Space Jam-esque mixed media isekai where a real life person gets isekai'd into whatever the most popular isekai anime is.
Interesting.
I choose Tanner's title as the ultimate isekai.
There you go. I feel like you guys are thinking a little small here, unfortunately. So, obviously, what is the most common trope for how many isekai start, huh?
Someone dies! They die in the real world!
Exactly. Death. And so, let's think about that a little more, okay? Where do we go when we die?
Of the spirit in the sky, according to Norman Greenbaum.
Hell, hell, hell.
Hell, that's also a good answer. Well, you know, maybe instead of looking to the sky or in the fires of hell, perhaps we need to look somewhere else. For example, maybe we need to look in the Undertide, boys. This is the setting for my world, boys. So, the idea behind this is that when we die, every person goes here. It is called the Undertide. This is an underwater-themed world. Each and every soul ends up coming here. Let's start off real quick by getting the lay of the land, fellas. So, as you can see here, the Undertide is a bunch of fucking circles that end up going in on each other here. So, when you die, you end up out here on the outskirts of the Undertide, guys. Can you see the little laser? Can you see it?
Yeah.
Fantastic. So when you die, you end up out here, and you're able to, you know, just kind of work your way inward, slowly but surely. Of course, many people don't end up doing that, because here we have a decent little look at what the hell is going on here. So, the Undertide is broken up into 5 different circles. These two, they're basically the same one. Don't worry about that too much. But how this is going to work is when you start out, you're just out here. As you can see, just kind of flat plains, ends up being nothingness. Up in the sky, it looks like, you know, it looks like water because you're underwater at all times. As you work your way inward, this is the outer city. This is going to be the biggest part of it. This is where most people spend all their time, boys. And it is just an endless city stretching onward until we eventually get to the second ring here. This is going to be a nice kelp forest, a nice luscious kelp forest. After that, we get to an endless abyss. Endless as in it does eventually end because we eventually get to another circle here. This is going to be a bunch of like thermal vents, and then it finally ends with a massive salt flat where there is a whole lot of nothing going on. And to give you guys like a little frame reference for like just how large this place is, because, you know, this is the afterlife where everyone fucking goes when they die. Like, each of these rings here is going to be, like, as long as the U.S. is.
I thought you were going to say some shit like the circumference of the Earth.
No, not quite that big.
What about the final dot on the very right side?
That is just a big fucking pit. That's where it all ends. A big fucking pit.
I've got a question.
Yeah, what's up, Tanner?
So people die and they end up in the Undertide. Are they like spirits or like ghosts or something?
That is a wonderful question, Tanner. We will be getting to that momentarily.
I have another question. Is this like a big endless plane or something? Does the first section of it like stretch infinitely to the left, or is this like a circle?
Yeah, so the whole thing is a circle. The off to the left here, there's like nothing out here, so ideally you shouldn't be in that area, but it does just go on infinitely.
Does it matter if you shouldn't be out there? Like, you can't die again, can you?
Probably be pretty boring.
Oh my god.
Yeah, you can still die here.
Do you go to the Undertide again?
You know, that's a great question. What does happen after you die? Tough to say, guys. Tough.
Hopefully you can't drown.
Thankfully, you can't do that. Thank God.
I'm just getting isekai immediately fucking drowning.
Yeah, that would be pretty rough. So, to just kind of give you guys painting the picture a little bit for what exactly life is like here. So, this here, it's the outer city. This is the main place that people will be living. And the idea with it is that it's a self-governed, it's sort of like split up into a bunch of like different little districts with their own sort of police force to keep as much sort of peace as possible and manage people. You know, some districts may be chill, others a bit more hostile with gangs kind of vying for territory. It's largely civil with kind of an undertone of like, you know, shit could hit the fan at any moment here. What ends up helping sort of keep the peace in these areas is that, you know, most of the population are pretty elderly when they died, so they kind of just go about doing their business, just trying to get by. It's the younger crowds, the people who died a bit earlier in life, who are more eager to kind of make their names for themselves here. So, you know, some may try to make the Undertide a better place, kind of trying to make it as much of a utopia as they can, whereas, others might be more interested in inflicting cruelty and seeing it as a new land to conquer, that sort of thing. So, the further out you are in here in the sort of outer city, the more brutalistic the architecture is, because it's just like, it's very claustrophobic. They're just trying to cram as many people as they can in here. However, the more inward you go, this is where we start seeing things open up a lot more. The architecture gets much older because that's where people initially started when they first got to the Undertide back in the long ago. And where people were like really seeing buildings as just like, you know, more than just their function, as like, you know, something to really give a shit about, that sort of deal. So,
what's the cutoff for like when people actually started going into this? Like, obviously, like under the assumption of the theory of evolution, are like fucking cavemen in the Undertide, or like what's the cutoff here?
They very well could have been. Are many of them still alive? Probably not. they probably aren't really here much more. But, you know, again, Jax, that could be a cool idea for a character of like, you know, one of the first people to traverse these areas. Something to think about, man. Something pretty neat to think about. You saying that did remind me of something important I should probably mention. What was that, though?
I don't know. I'm sorry.
I don't know either. So,
is there some kind of non-dead human sentient life that is that what you were maybe thinking about?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. There are, of course, like fish and stuff here as well, though. It's not like strictly just people who were once human. Yeah, I don't remember what Jackson reminded me of. Oh, well, maybe I'll remember it later. So, boys, with that out of the way, we now have the world set up here in front of us. Let's get into the power system, what any good shonen is built off of. And for this, we have 3 separate things to discuss. So, first off are the mutations that people receive upon entering the Undertide. Next are the currents, which is going to be the main battle system. And finally, we have birthrights, which are going to be powerful items that people receive. So, all these power systems, they grant greater context out to how the world functions as a whole. So we're just going to be using each of these here as a vehicle to exploring the world at large. So first off, we're going to be talking about mutations. So, when you die, as you're going into the Undertide, you are in a period of incubation. This is sort of what it looks like out on the outskirts where everyone arrives to the Undertide, where you're just it's just a bunch of suspended bodies in the air slowly falling into the world itself. And during this time, you are going to be slowly mutating. Now, the good news is, everybody gets a brand new body after they die. So any physical ailments you had, any sicknesses, those are all healed. If you weren't able to walk on your legs, guess what, buddy? You can now. Isn't that just fine and dandy? Now, this incubation process, it takes more time from person to person. So if 2 people were to die at the exact same time, they might end up in the Undertide at entirely different times. You know, for some, it might take a few months. For others, it might take several years to eventually finish up their process here. Now, the general consensus for why this is that the more evil that someone put into the world while they were alive, the longer this process takes. And as a result of that, the longer you incubate for, the more drastic your mutations become, resulting in your appearance acting as sort of a moral history at a glance for people. And all of these mutations are based off of various ocean or water-dwelling creatures. So, you know, a guy could, for example, be a sea urchin. Check it out, sea urchin woman, that's fun. Could be a leaf sheep, also fun. Could be much more drastic for more evil people like this. Check that out. Really fucked up, not really much of a human anymore.
I got a big question.
Ol' octopus guy.
Is the anglerfish guy, do you imagine he's a pedophile?
Probably. There's
Hell
a good
yeah.
chance.
Badass.
I have another question. Is it like you get reincarnated like with like basically your body at like peak condition and then it gets mutated from there, or are you like completely shapeshifted into a totally different person?
No. So you die in whatever state you were in, basically, or you reincarnate in whatever age you were. So like if you were in your fucking 20s or whatever, you die still being in your 20s. If you were an elderly person, when you died, you'd be elderly here still. But then on top of that, whatever sort of afflictions you had would no longer be afflicting you here. So that part of you, totally fine. However, you're now getting a bunch of mutations on top of that.
Mm-hmm.
What if I like fucking died because I like, you know, was sitting on top of a fucking landmine and I blew up and was blasted into fucking red mist?
Yeah, no. Like I said, you're getting a brand new body here. So whatever killed you or anything along those lines, those are not a factor here.
Okay, I'm just trying to make sure like on the like or in the timeline like the body takes place, but
does your new body age?
No, it does not.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is sort of a meta question.
Mm-hmm.
Did you already know what a sea leaf is before doing this, or were you looking up sea creatures and found that thing and thought it was cool?
I did know what that one was prior to this. It's like a leaf sheep, I believe is what they're called. They're pretty neat, though. Lots of cool creatures. Lots of neat little critters. Of course, instead of being an octopus, you could be like a waifu, too. But, you know, who's to say, man? Who's to say? Also, another extra little note here. So, for the insanely evil people, instead of, like, you know, mutating beyond all recognition, you do eventually, there is a cutoff where you just become a fish. Where you're just a sea creature now. And
do you have like conscious still?
Yes, you still have your consciousness. You are no longer able to communicate. That's what you fucking remind me of, Jackson. Holy shit. Okay, so with the caveman thing, I did just want to also say, everyone speaks the same language when you're here. There's no longer any of that sort of barrier, at the very least. But yeah, for the insanely evil people, they're just a straight up fish. They're so conscious of that, they just can't really do a whole lot anymore.
Does everyone talk like the Animal Crossing characters?
Sure, why not?
Let's go.
That sounds
What kind of fish did Hitler turn into?
Like a guppy of some kind.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds good. So, you know, with that said...
Actually, I got a small follow-up question, sorry.
What's that, Tanner?
Are the people just, like, insanely prejudiced against fish now, then?
Yeah, so there's because there are just, like, normal fish that also exist in this world, there is a little bit of a stigma that some may have. Again, the Undertide is fucking massive, as you saw from that previous image of the world, so when I say things, don't take it as, like, a total generalization of the general culture of this world. Because it could vary wildly, but, you know, for some there may be quite a bit of a stigma against eating any of the fish for the fear that one of them could have been a person previously.
I was more so going the opposite direction. If they know that, like, the most evil people imaginable are the ones becoming fish, do they just kill as many fish as they can?
They could. They very well might. That might be what some people do.
I feel like the common sentiment there would be... like, unless somebody was telling them otherwise, most people would just assume that all the fish were previously, like, really evil people, if they were even, like, know that at all. Because they can't talk. So, how would they even know this fundamentally unless somebody told them?
So, it's more so just a belief. Also, some of the fish will, like, display more intelligence than others would. Because they still have human consciousness in them, they're naturally going to be smarter than a basic-ass fish would be.
I see.
Yeah. So, with that said, I couldn't find pictures of all this shit, like, you know, human variants, but, you know, the world is full of so many amazing sea creatures, guys. Like, think of the amazing, fun little character OCs you can make out of all these crazy, wacky things They're just so neat. You could also make them out of much more nightmarish creatures as well. But, like, just imagine what the fuck a person with this sort of head would be like. Good God. So one idea I have for a couple characters would be like a mantis shrimp, as well as like one of these pistol shrimp. I think it's called a pistol shrimp. But like, the mantis shrimp, its punch is like insanely fucking strong considering its size. So just imagine a guy with a big fucking arm that could just decimate dudes, or a guy who can just fucking blast people just like a dang old American sniper, just with a big claw. That would be sick as fuck. Or you could have like a weird nightmarish person like this. It would that could be freaky.
It's like some Megamind looking dude, but he's got really long limbs.
Exactly. There's just so much you can do with this kind of concept of like mashing people with these sea creatures. And so with that said, on the topic of these really evil people, obviously every shonen needs their little mascot. So I posit it being a little Dumbo elephant, a little Dumbo octopus, where it's just a cute little Dumbo octopus. These guys are fun, but, it obviously seems to be displaying more intelligence than a normal one would. And as such, it's like, oh, he's so cute. He's such a lovable creature. Got to make all the plushies you can of him. But like in the back of your mind, you're like, well, I mean, he's cute and marketable, but like that guy did some awful things in his life.
He's like a QB-esque character.
Exactly. It's exactly like QB. Alrighty, boys. So with that said, do you feel like you have a good grasp on the mutations, how that functions here?
Yes.
Fantastic. Moving right along here. We have the big one itself. We have currents. So this is the main battle system. So, as we discussed, the entire world is underwater. This is like what it looks like. However, you generally don't feel like you're underwater. All of your movements function exactly the same as they would like in normal life. It doesn't feel like you're like, moving in slow-mo or anything like that. Everything moves pretty normally. There's just the concept of like, we're underwater right now.
Can you swim like upwards?
No.
What the fuck?
Yeah, gravity also functions the same as like in the world of the living, let's call it. However,
It's kind of like the way... actually, they don't. They're very inconsistent. It's like SpongeBob rules, I guess.
Yeah, it's exactly like SpongeBob rules. Think of it like SpongeBob.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so, when it comes to currents... Oh yeah, so the way currents work is that my idea for the battle system here is that they more so govern like movement and defense and like your sort of combat philosophy rather than raw power. So I wanted to prioritize making a battle system that isn't just about like raw stats. While two strong guys are like duking it out, it can be really hype. But like I prefer just like throwing characters a big toolbox and telling them to kind of figure shit out rather than just like punching each other really hard. So rather than just having to have bigger stats, having what wins the fight, I want it to be more about like who's more creative, strategic, and skillful with what they have at their disposal here. So, examples of what you can do with currents. So, time to actually talk about them themselves. So, currents are all about understanding the spiritual flow of the world around you and exerting your influence over it to make it change. What you are doing here is you are using the water of the world around you to do different shit. It's not just water bending, though. Don't just think of it as water bending. When it comes to this, there are four main schools of thought for how you can go about achieving these changes. So, to start with, we have the gyre, which is focusing on forcing constant motion of the world around you, which, to do this, you'll be like creating whirlpools, pulling enemies and objects towards you, quickly repositioning yourself or like redirecting attacks with it. Just think of it as like, swirling water, moving shit around a lot. That's what's happening with gyres. There's also still wake, which is suppressing the water around you. So this will create dead zones. So rather than allowing other people to move shit around, you're forcing that water to remain motionless. You can use this to make yourself hard to perceive. So like, if someone is really good at like sensing the way the water moves and like, using that as like the force kind of like, oh, the way the water is moving would indicate that there's a guy behind me right now. They can still all of that to make that be perceived as there's no one behind you. Let's say that, for example. You can use it to create frictionless areas that can act as slipstreams. or you can halt the movement of yourself or others with it. Then we have reverberations, which is forcing repetition. You can create vibration-based attacks. That sounds pretty neat. You can make sound travel further, make impacts repeat, or create feedback loops of motion. And then finally, we have thermal, which is forcing a change of state. You can use that to create mirages underwater. That's pretty neat. Create fog. You can make ice, or you can cause areas of water to boil. Neat stuff, I tell you. Neat stuff.
True.
Questions?
So,
Tanner.
Yes, I was just going to ask. So, to give us like a rough approximation of what we can expect this to look like, I'm kind of getting the vibe of like, it's like Fire Force powers, but water.
I have not seen Fire Force, so I will say yes, it's exactly like that.
I was thinking of like water
Fantastic.
bending from like Avatar: The Last Airbender.
It's explicitly said it's not water bending, but...
I know, that's the fucking joke!
I know it's the joke, Jack! I know it's the joke! Fuck! But yeah, it's exactly like water bending as well. So,
Okay.
another little addendum to this. So the closer you are to a location you're wanting to manipulate with any of these, the easier it is to do. Think of it as like kind of the size of a boxing ring is about like where your limit is going to be. That's where like the hard cap becomes before it's like really hard to make something actually work beyond that.
Question.
Yes.
Do you have to drink water in this world? Like, do you get
No.
thirsty?
You do
Okay.
not. Yeah, water is not necessary at all. We will be getting to food in just a moment, though.
Okay, I'm being preemptive here.
Yeah, don't worry. I like it, dude. I like it. So, with all that said, this is the downside to currents, which is starvation. So, you know, there are various like basic bodily functions you no longer need to worry about that just like are not required in this new world. You know, your new body doesn't really function like the old one. However, one of the big things is that you do still need to eat. That's very important. So, well, you know, eating food is no longer required to, like, you know, use it as fuel to aid your general health and growth because you don't age. You also don't get sick here either. That's another big thing. Now instead it's being used to maintain your spiritual and cognitive continuity. You know, going without food for too long will have very dire consequences. And
Like one of the fucking zombies in Warm Bodies.
it's exactly like warm bodies, yes. So using currents rapidly increases your need to eat. So it's best to only use them when absolutely necessary, especially when you don't know when your next meal is going to be. As we saw from, like, you know, the general layout of the world, it gets much harder to find food as you continue. You know, in like the thermal vent area, not gonna be a whole lot there. Once you get to like the fucking salt flats, how the fuck are you gonna find any food there? So, let's talk about the stages of starvation. So first off, using currents becomes much harder and unstable. You know, for most people, a lot of people don't really use currents in this world, so that's not something they need to worry about all that much. However, your movement will eventually start to become sluggish. Your currents become impossible to use after a certain point, and your emotional responses become dulled. Then your senses are severely reduced, becomes a lot harder to just fucking see or hear any of that stuff. After a while, your body just completely locks up, rendering you immobile. Your mind is still like cognizant, but it's no longer capable of like receiving further sensory input. And if you go too long, then your memories begin to erode and thought itself eventually fades entirely. But you know, despite it all, you're still not dead. You're just trapped in a awful state of being for the remainder of your time. Now, of course, you can, like, you know, if someone were to, like, shove some food down your gullet, you could eventually come back, but, you know, once you get to these further down areas, the consequences kind of become too much for you to really be able to deal with beyond that. So does that all make sense to you guys?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Are people able to make children in these bodies?
No,
reproduction.
Reproduction is not... I was about to say necessary. It is not possible in these bodies whatsoever.
Do they even have reproductive organs?
Yeah, people do still have reproductive organs. I'm sure there are lots of people who, they're like, I mean, what else is there to do other than just fuck a lot, I guess? Because diseases also don't exist, so STDs aren't something you have to worry about. So I'm sure there are lots of people who are just fucking.
Cool.
I know, right? Pretty sick, pretty sick. You know, what kind of life is that? Probably not a lot, but it's something at the very least. Mm-hmm. So, with all that being said, we are now going to be getting on to our final power system here to discuss, which are the birthrights. Look, don't worry too much about the specifics behind these. However, what you will have to worry about is the basic gist for what these are. Is they are magical items that most people will be receiving upon arriving to the Undertide. Once you get there, you've got them. Fantastic. Their usefulness varies greatly. However, their potential adds way too many variables to make it worthwhile for the general denizens of the Undertide to have access to them, and as such, they are immediately confiscated upon being acquired. So, I guess just some examples of like what some birthrights could possibly be is like none of these are going to be like a fucking nuclear bomb. They're not going to let you like fucking blow up a neighborhood or anything like that. They're much more subdued in their usefulness. It'll be something like you get a lantern that has a flame that'll never go out, or like a drum where whoever hears it, they now see themselves in the third person. It could be like a mask that lets you know if someone is lying, a cloud that lets you fly around on it, like Goku, or like a headband that gives you like 360 vision, stuff like that. Nothing insane, but a little something to spice things up, just a little spice. Now, you might be asking yourself, yes, Tanner?
Well, I have a feeling you're about to say I was about to ask the very thing I was about to ask, so what was I about to ask, Nico?
You might be asking yourself, who is it that's confiscating these?
Oh my god, that was exactly my question.
And exactly what I was thinking myself.
Fantastic, I'm happy you guys had that thought, because that would be, of course, no anime world is complete without the bad guy squad. That's right, we're finally being introduced to the evil power that exists in this world. They're not like really all that evil though, but like, to some up and coming guy who's like trying to make his name for this place, they're probably gonna be not so good. They're gonna have to be a force that you have to reckon with. But yeah, so this is going to be the Shepherds, is what I decided to call these fellows. None of these names are set in stone. I am bad with coming up with names, but this is a great name, so I will not be hearing any notes on this one. So the Shepherds. How the Shepherds function is that they're the overall peacekeeping force within the Undertide. They're not police. As we talked about with like the city, they might have like their own little police that they organize. That is not what Shepherds are for. They do not have like a strict doctrine or legal code that they're trying to enforce here. They just show up when things get too out of control to like try and maintain some semblance of order. So, they're not going to be going around like investigating murders or like crimes, anything like that. It's like if people start like blowing shit up a lot and like, trying to massacre a bunch of folks, that's when they step in and are like, all right, we're putting a stop to this. They're that sort of deal. They basically just show up when shit's getting a little too real to let you know, all right, let's fucking calm down, guys. So Shepherds are the only ones who have access to the birthrights, and they also receive proper training when it comes to currents, and because of this, they are a very formidable force within this world. They just have access to a lot more tools that make them much harder to deal with for your average person. You're gonna need a pretty big posse just to take one of these dudes down. And so they're generally looked upon pretty fondly by the denizens, like these are the people who, when you get to the Undertide, you're like out on the outskirts, you don't know what the fuck is going on, you're out in the middle of nowhere. A shepherd shows up to greet you, they confiscate your birthright, and they usher you onto the outer city. So, for most people, their first interaction with one is pretty positive. They let you know what the hell is going on. But then after that, they kind of just fuck off. And as a result of that, there are quite a few people who may come to resent them because, despite their huge power, they'll rarely really intervene. Yes, Tanner?
Do the Shepherds really lean into only wanting to recruit people with very few mutations because, like you mentioned, that is kind of like a morality indicator?
Yes.
Whoa.
Yeah. Pretty neat stuff, dude. Pretty neat stuff. So, do the Shepherds make sense to you guys?
Yes.
I think the only thing that gives me pause is just how they intercept the dramatic quantities of people that are just flooding in constantly. Like, there's like hundreds of thousands of people that die every single fucking day. Are there hundreds of thousands of shepherds just swarming the outer area trying to catch all these people, or how the fuck does that process even work? Or am I getting too in the weeds of it?
Yeah, you might be a little too in the weeds there, but, you know, for the most part, they do just, like, there are a lot of these guys, particularly, like, despite how large the Undertide is, most of the shepherds are concentrated to the outer city because, like, not a lot of people really bother going deeper in just due to, like, you know, a lot less food, resources there become a lot less manageable. Most people just don't really bother going in there, so shepherds don't really bother actually being in that area at nearly as much. So most of them are just concentrated to these outer areas where they're actually needed.
And I assume, like, part of the world building is that, like, what birthrights there are floating around are because, like, there was, you know, maybe, like, a period of war where there was, like, an extra heavy amount of people, like, incubating, and therefore they didn't get caught or something.
Yeah, exactly. There might be some people who slip through the cracks, potentially, like, after, you know, like, where exactly do these birthrights go when they've been confiscated? Like, maybe, are there some people on the inside who are maybe, like, leaking some out here and there for a little extra cash on the side? Who knows, man? Who knows?
Or, like, criminal gangs that beat the shepherds to the reincarnated people.
Yeah, exactly. It's, there are lots of things that can happen here, man. Lots of moving parts to this world, it seems like. So, with that said, though, there is, like, a little bit of a hierarchy to the way that the shepherds function. So, at the base level, we've got the shepherds themselves. So, as you can see, this is, like, a area of the Undertide broken up into, like, a bunch of, like, different little quadrants. So, it's, like, a fuckload of them. And then there'll just be, like, 2 shepherds who are stationed to each individual area of the city itself. But then, like, yeah, it's a bunch of them fucking everywhere. After that, though, we get the special shepherds, okay? I don't like this name. I think I would have gone with, like, variants or something like that instead. But these are the higher up ones. Most people, most generally denizens of the world, don't even know these guys fucking exist. Like, from here onward, they don't know about any of this shit, okay? This is for you guys. This is just a little insider knowledge. So, the special shepherds, they have different roles. So as you saw in the previous image, you know, shepherds have they have the big white jackets. These special ones, though, they have different colors to make them a little more interesting there. And so depending on the color, they'll have different roles. So, like, for example, one of them could be like a black cloak, and these are the guys who, you know, they're the ones who hunt down the shepherds who aren't doing quite as good a job, you know? They're the guys who are, you know, trying to weed out the fucking, what's the word I'm looking for here? Evil? Not evil. Corruption. They're weeding out the corruption within the shepherds themselves. Little sort of extra little force, little extra safety net there. And then they'll have various more colors depending on more specialties that are required for the shepherds themselves. Beyond that, there are the Eidolons. These are the guys who are, like, managing massive swaths of the Undertide. So, like, as you can see, like, these are, like, you know, a normal shepherd, they just have a little area like this. The Eidolons, they have massive areas that they're looking over. There's, like, the managers for the normal shepherds, is what their deal is. And then finally, at the very tippity top, we have the Echelon. These are the guys who are basically like Lovecraftian beings who reside over each of the individual layers. So there are 5 of them in total, and each of them are just fucking crazy gods. That's what the Echelon are. Like, normal shepherds don't even know that these guys exist. These are just, like, they're the tippity top of everything. They're, like, the main force that's, like, running the show in this world. What's their deal? Who knows? Who knows? Any questions there, fellas? Fantastic. Alrighty. So with all that being said, you know, this is a world that's set up to generate mysteries. That's, like, one of the big draws of it. Like, what exactly is going on here? So, for example, what is it that Jackson pointed out there? What is it that lies at the center of this world? You know, it's a big circle. There's just a big fucking hole in the very center of it. What happens when you go there? What's at the bottom? Something to think about, something to consider. Also, you know, if this is the afterlife, as Tanner was talking about, then what happens when you die here? Is there another Undertide beyond this? You know, do our sins compound? Like, the worse we are here, the even more fucked up our body will be in the next one? If we're better here, does that mean that, like, in the next one, like, our bodies are less mutated? Do we just, like, get reincarnated as a person in the world of the living? Who the fuck knows what happens? Is it turtles all the way down? What's going on? Is there any kind of a god present here? You know, as we talked about, there are the Echelon, but is there anyone even above them? Like, who the fuck created this world? Why is it here? What's going on with any of that? Also, where are all the children? So, the way the Undertide functions is that only people who are, like, you're only going to be meeting people who are, like, 14 and older. That's, like, the cutoff. Anyone below that, they just do not exist here. Where the fuck are they then? What's going on? Are they secretly here somewhere? Or do they just get to skip this? Do they go somewhere else? What's happening with that?
You're not really ensouled until you've gotten laid.
Yeah, exactly.
All the kids are just fish because they're actually incubating until they turn of age, but obviously by that point it's taken too long, so they're fish.
All children are evil?
Interesting stuff, guys. Interesting stuff. And yeah, that's about it. Any final questions you guys have? Thoughts?
No, I feel like you were quite thorough and did a good job of answering our questions throughout.
I have many a question, but I think it largely is just based around the nitty-gritty of, like, what society looks like in general and how it even came to be. Like, are there fucking jobs, or is everyone just homeless fucking about? How do they make cities? How are they making clothing and shit? Or, like, I assume there's, like, a whole ass functioning society down here.
Yes, there absolutely is. For clothes, you know, you can make that out of seaweed, out of kelp, all that kind of stuff. There's one of the layers is nothing but that shit. So, you know, that there's like a big industry, like, sort of on the, like, cusp between those areas. It's just, like, bringing that stuff in, just, like, you know, manufacturing it into various goods, that kind of stuff, like packaging it into, like, little bite-sized, like, meals that people can have. They could, like, disperse throughout the city. So, you know, there can be some general way for people to have easy access to food, which may not be as easily achievable in different parts of the city, depending on their infrastructure that they've built up. Just that kind of stuff, you know. But yeah, people can 100% have jobs as necessary throughout this world.
Okay.
Is there... You go ahead.
I was gonna say, I'm forgetting the name of the term for it, but it's basically like, something paradox, where, like, a society, like, eventually, like, all societies kind of just collapse in on themselves. Like, they can never get too big without, you know, self-destruction. And a lot of isekai worlds, or shonen worlds in general, like, even fucking Gurren Lagann, for example, is a recent example of that. They always have some sort of, like, stop-loss of, like, we need to, like, shut this shit down before things get, like, too big, and, like, you know, wipe themselves off the face of the fucking planet, or, for example. Like, even, like, I've been watching Tensor, the slime isekai recently, and there's like some whole mechanic where basically there's like the divine angels that'll come down and fucking smite nations if they like get too, like, if their progression just like gets too big to keep the balance of the world or something. Is there anything like that?
That's exactly like Hazbin Hotel.
Whoa, yeah, it's a very common trope. I'm curious if there's any sort of stop-loss like that at all, or is it just the shepherds, I suppose, keeping the balance? Everyone's fucking poor and in poverty, bug people for the rest of their eternal existence, or is there actual like progress? Or like, are there like billionaires and shit?
Yeah, you know, I mean, you know, who's to say the shepherds aren't doing that sort of thing? But largely, when it comes to like an inevitable like stop loss for like the general citizens, you know, eventually they are, if things get too out of hand, they are just going to start fucking like keeling over and like locking their bodies out. So, you know, some areas that may have just, like, you know, developed way too much, that have far too large of a population, will have just, like, a lot more of those bodies just kind of lying about than others will. Just that sort of deal where, you know, eventually if someone seems too far gone, they're just not going to really bother with them at a certain point, where things will just kind of become a bit more cutthroat in terms of the general survival for the citizens.
To add on to that point, is cannibalism a valid way of avoiding starvation?
Yeah. It is actually.
I guess
Like,
doesn't even
potentially,
really count
if you're getting out to like that salt flat area, the final layer, like you're gonna need to find some way of really like getting through there. Maybe if you have like an octopus guy or a starfish person who like, because they're like a mutant, like their ability is that like they regenerate their body parts much more quickly and stuff like that. Like, maybe you do just like hack some of them off in order to actually get through there.
Wow.
I know you haven't gotten particularly deep into like the manga. Well, I guess the manga's pretty caught up with the anime at this point, but honestly, it's like almost some like main abyss shit in a little sort of way.
That may have been a bit of an inspiration there, yeah.
Badass. I like it. I think you presented it well. This PowerPoint presentation looks substantially better than mine, though granted mine looks like ass on purpose as a bit.
Yeah.
There you go. I guess I'll leave off with one last question. Is there, like, technology in this world? Have they, like, invented underwater cell phones or bullshit like that? Okay.
I'm imagining it'll be, I guess, kind of like SpongeBob rules, like you said, where it'll be, they have some sort of analog for it that's, like, nautical themed. Like, they'll have some sort of, like, little shells that they can communicate with each other with. But
either that or you mentioned that some people can use the currents to send messages long distances.
Yeah,
I can imagine that being a thing.
Absolutely. I'd imagine that kind of stuff will be more so relegated to the shepherds, is like, if there is any sort of advanced forms of technology, they'll be the only ones with real access to it.
Is the city just like a fucking continent-spanning favela, basically?
Yes. Yes, that's exactly what I'm imagining.
Badass. I like favelas. Big fan of favela. I would never live there, but like I think they're interesting to look at.
Yeah.
I saw this great picture. I think it was in like, where the fuck was it? It was in like Venezuela or some shit. One of them impoverished countries, where it's just like this big zoomed out image where it's just like this huge fucking like city built on top of just each other, just like going up this hill and shit. It looks insane.
Very common in the third world. Very common.
We'll have to review City of God, I think it's called, sometime.
Yeah.
I'm pumped.
Anyway, I agree with Jackson. This is a great presentation. I like it a lot. This is my favorite PCP University lecture I've ever attended.
This is my favorite PowerPoint presentation we've seen so far.
There you go.
Don't get too ahead of yourself, though, Jackson. We still have one more to check out here.
All right, it's time for me to give my presentation now, and I am doing the Hog Riders of Hogtown, USA. Forgive me if I'm not presenting this particularly well. I did no practice runs at all.
Hang on, Jackson, real quick. Go back to the previous slide.
Of course, I'd love to.
I gotta say, that shirt, like the far right one that he's wearing there, that looks like the tie-dye skull. That's kind of cool. That's kind of sick.
Yeah, dude, it's kind
I
of
hate to ruin it for you, Nico, but that's the pick of destiny.
He wasn't that old in that.
Yeah, I know, but I mean on his shirt.
I mean, that doesn't ruin the fact that it's a cool looking shirt.
I mean, you don't like that movie, okay? I was just...
Anyways, I'm just going to kind of be reading out the fucking text of these slides and we can just rip on it from there. This is not presented in like a presentation format, I wouldn't say. So here's just a general summary of the world. In the world of Hogtown, USA, certain individuals, about 10% of the population, are granted special powers from the big man himself that allow them to summon a sick-ass fucking rippers that generally match their personality. When summoned, the riders are remarkably more durable than regular humans, and this fortitude increases the older and more trained in the way of the hog they get. Their man rockets also get faster, more nimble, etc. the more they train, and the older they get... Dude, that fucking sentence got cut off randomly. Check that out. It's an error on the first slide. Gangs form based on the style of the machine they ride, and these gangs also battle it out in death battles on the straights, on the highways, or in head-to-head races on the curves, like in tracks, for example. That's a general idea.
Do the different hogs grant different powers?
So, generally, we're going to get more into the power system, but generally speaking, there aren't, like, supernatural powers outside of just, like, the motorcycles themselves being, like, physics-defying, almost, in a way, if that makes sense. So, like, there's different, like, obviously, there's different types of motorcycles. There's, like, cruiser motorcycles, there's fucking track bikes and things. So those can like specialize in certain types of riding, and that's something that matches with their personality. So like if like some fucking 50-year-old Harley guy dies, he's going to get something similar to that to match his personality, etc.
Okay. Gotcha.
Right?
And
right.
are mopeds exempt from this, or do they count as well?
It's just fucking... I mean, the line of what makes something a motorcycle is truly thin, but I'm going to... I'm going to cut out scooters and mopeds and stuff from this equation.
Okay, gotcha.
Because it has to be a sick-ass fucking hog that you can reincarnate it on. I don't want to ever describe a moped as a sick-ass fucking hog, but that's just me.
That's fair enough.
Anyways, let's get into the geography here. So due to the proliferation of these sick-ass hogs, the large portion of the population, society has developed around them to create as many fun roads and stretches as possible. Cities are sparse and small to cater for the riders in between them. Roads aren't always straights when they could be. Artificial hills are created in flat areas and various tracks scour the land. So basically, the whole geography of the world is largely set up to cater to people riding their fucking motorcycles. Like, they cater to the 10% of people that have these powers. You know, they're making, like, what could be a straight road to one location to another, like a fun thing to do, basically, to cater to these people, if that makes sense.
It's kind of like the overworld for Mario Kart World Tour.
Dude, exactly.
It's exactly like that.
It's just like that. I honestly forget if I have a slide that's like getting into more detail of like what the planet looks like, but you can kind of just imagine it looks pretty similar to like what Earth looks like.
Oh, I was imagining it's a giant motorcycle.
No, it's a regular planet, and it has continent structures similar to how Earth is formed, I would say.
Gotcha.
What does the USA in Hogstown, USA refer to here, then?
Dude, that's just the fucking name of the planet, man.
Oh, okay.
That's just what they titled
Do
it.
they
That's
say
like
the USA
asking...
part, or do they call it Hogtown USA?
No, it's Hogtown, USA. Nobody knows. That's like asking why somebody calls the planet Earth, you know? That's just the name.
Okay.
That's just how it is. Anyways, the politics of Hogtown, USA. So as inherent strength comes to those with time and abilities from God, Hog Jesus, society has formed largely to cater to these individuals, and they run the show from power. Large swaths of the world are under something similar to martial law, where larger exclusive gangs run whole countries or states and are usually at war with each other by either invading enemy territory or starting death battles on the streets with roaming local gangs, or challenging the best of the most powerful gangs to lengthy track battles for control. So yeah, it's basically just a bunch of really powerful gangs that control large swaths of it. There's a bunch of local gangs that control smaller territories, and they fucking fight and kill each other goddamn constantly. That's just like the way. It's like fucking Mad Max with like motorcycles and supernatural powers, if that makes sense. Does Mad Max? Yeah, Mad Max has like fucking massive. I don't know maybe if they're continent spanning powers, but there certainly is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's like a governor or something who has like some big area under his control.
Yeah, there's big shots here for sure.
Is the bigger the big shot is, the higher their handlebars go? Like, I'm thinking Exhibit A here. Is this like a sort of a high person in power in this world?
The motorcycles don't change a crazy amount visually.
Okay.
As things change. So, like, kind of what you spawn with is kind of what you get for the most part. So I wouldn't say no. That would be funny, though.
Excuse me if you already said this. Are people allowed to steal other people's motorcycles and get some benefit from that?
I'm going to get more into how the motorcycles work with the power system, which is coming up here. Let's go right into it, expanding on the power system, specifically the age aspect of it. So general fortitude and their engine on wheels, overall performance, top speed, acceleration, lateral grip, braking speed, etc. All get better slowly over time as the rider ages. There can be an 80-year-old rider with a little training done over their life that would annihilate a green rider that's trained a good deal in their time just from this. This type of matchup specifically favors the highway death battles, though, as generally riding skill doesn't increase with age. So even with a huge age difference, a young rider could stomp someone older on the track with superior riding ability and tuning or track knowledge. So basically, as you age, you will just, even without doing anything, you will linearly get more general fortitude. Your motorcycle will get faster, etc. as you go on without any effort. It's just inherent to being a rider in the world of Hawktown, USA. But of course, that's just specifically in like the highway death battles format. If you're doing like a track battle, you could get stomped by someone that knows the track really well, or just has trained a crazy amount, you know, like some guy that just cruised on the highway all day for his, you know, like 50 years of age could get stomped by some fucking 15-year-old kid that does nothing but just like rip around tracks all day, if that makes sense. Regardless of like the inherent benefit of like getting a bunch more skill as they age inherently, or not skill, but power as they age inherently.
So as far as the general fights go in this, is it going to be like a death race sort of thing, where they're like in a sort of like destruction derby type of circle, just like going at each other, or is it usually like more straightaways sort of deals where they're like trying to, you know, just like beat each other in a race?
I think I have a slide for that. If I don't, we'll put a pin in it. I'm pretty sure I do have something that explains that, though.
Okay.
That we can get to later on how the actual like
I was
death
going to
battles
ask
work.
about the training. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so of course, a rider that casually rides their whole life and doesn't push the limits of their ability will grow stronger at a much slower rate than someone who trains as much as they possibly can. So this does breed a fierce culture of improvement between the younger groups, trying to play catch up with their senior peers. Like, you know, a bunch of younger people, they know they're at a disadvantage immediately because of their age and how it works. So a lot of younger people really try to push themselves to get as, you know, good as they possibly can at a young age. So like basically catch up with that immediate disadvantage they're put in. And a lot of the time, the older generation kind of rest on their laurels and they fall into a level of complacency because of that. Like, they know they're already better than a lot of people just because of inherently, maybe they had like a spurt of energy and they want to improve themselves really early on, and then they, you know, got to a point where they're like totally fine with their position, so they just don't really try as much. So it's not uncommon for a long-standing gang to be wiped out because they rested on their laurels, while an up-and-coming group of youngsters train night and day and just fucking beat them for control. Like, not an uncommon sight, you know. A bunch of old people, they just don't expect it, and they get surpassed by some youngins who then take up their positions. So you can, in fact, train to improve at a faster pace than if you were just sitting around doing nothing, you know. But you still will, of course, gain skill over time just from sitting around doing fucking nothing if you want to as well.
Okay.
All right, and the big part, fortitude, is also the other thing that I've mentioned a lot. So a rider's general fortitude is directly tied to them being on and around their ripper. The longer a rider is away from their hog, scaling on distance as well, the less fortitude they have. For example, a high-speed crash that throws its rider a far distance will quickly result in the rider's fortitude dropping and potentially making the crash lethal. Like most stats around riders, this is more generous to those more aged, making them tougher general opponents in battle. This is also why most living areas are designed around riders having their rides with them and accessible at all times, so they never lose their superhuman tenacity. So you are limited with your general fortitude. So like basically imagine you're wearing a set of invisible motorcycle gear, except, you know, like way fucking tougher at all times, but only when you are on or around your motorcycle within a close proximity. So if you get off it, for example, then you basically just turn into like a regular ass fucking human. So most of the time, people are on their motorcycle at all times if they can help it, or they're very close by. Like if they're at like a restaurant or something, they'll be like sitting at a table with their motorcycle like right next to them, for example.
That's interesting. I kind of did just assume that people are on their motorcycles at all times in this world. I feel like they couldn't get removed from it.
They certainly can remove them and get off if they feel to do so. But yeah, it's because of just the general danger of the world, a lot of people do just kind of sit on it at all times because it just makes it safer, so they don't randomly get fucking ganked or something.
So does pretty much everyone like wear diapers?
No, there are motorcycle accessible bathrooms. You don't even have to worry about that.
There you go.
Nice.
All movie theaters are drive-in movie theaters.
Of course,
Yeah.
of course. I wouldn't... The content structure is pretty similar to how our world works, but like how the cities and all that shit function are remarkably different. I doubt there would even be movie theaters here at all.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I was trying to imagine like the fucking like cashier and stuff in a movie theater, just like on his hog sitting there. Or like you talk about restaurants, like are the cooks just like moving around their kitchens, like in the motorcycles.
This is, I should have maybe reviewed my slides beforehand. I don't know if I have a slide for the 90% of people that are in fact not writers.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
That's right. Yeah, you did say that 10% of the world are these. Okay.
Yeah, so there is like a sizable portion of the population that it is just kind of living day to day, but I'll get more into. I think I don't know. I guess this is another thing we'll put a pin in on. I don't know if I have a slide for it of specifically exactly what they're doing themselves. Any questions on...
Do the motorcycles require gas?
No, they're supernatural in nature. You can ride them endlessly. They don't require any sort of maintenance whatsoever. So you can literally...
So I guess that if you are one of these hog riders, then like is your destiny at that point just to be like a gangbanger at that point?
I mean, you don't have to be. I will actually get into another aspect of riders that are different than that, but you don't have to do that necessarily, but that is just kind of the culture of the world. It's like being born to like the fucking Mad Max universe, you know? Like, you're not gonna become a fucking intellectual. Yeah, you're not gonna become an intellectual or something, bro. You're in Mad Max. You're gonna if you're part of the 10% that got lucky enough to not have supernatural powers, then you're gonna certainly use that, presumably.
Absolutely.
Is the relationship between hog riders and non-riders kind of like how like wizards and muggles are in Harry Potter?
It's way worse than that. Again, I keep saying this. I don't know if I have a slide on it or not, but basically the 90% are enslaved by the 10%.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah, you're basically just a fucking slave for these people. Because like, what the fuck are they gonna do? I don't know if I think I maybe expanded it more when I talked about death battles specifically, but if you're on with your general fortitude, you can get shot point blank like a fucking shotgun and just face tank it and be totally fine. Like, there's nothing these the 90% could fucking do to stop these people. Like, even 10 fucking riders could annihilate a fucking city of people. Like, there's just nothing they can do about it.
Is it completely random who will birth a hog rider child, or
it's
is there
completely random? Yeah, if two hog riders can fuck, and it's just literally a roll of the dice, 10% chance on anybody.
Interesting.
Anyways, moving on to tuning. Did I skip a slide? No, tuning. So this is one of the avenues that some writers can go through if they feel so inclined. So through channeling their sick powers granted by Hog Jesus. So this is, of course, only writers exclusively able to do this. The writers with enough skill can manually manipulate aspects of their ride to act in different ways than they normally would. So they can modify gearing ratios, braking force, downforce, and a swath of other helpful attributes. This requires a lot of dedicated training to master and get good at. These skills can also be used on other riders' machines to improve the whole gang's rides, leading to dedicated tuners being a very hot commodity in gangs, and even the deciding factor between if one gang wins or the other. So basically, think of overclocking a fucking computer or something. I mean, you guys know what tuning a car is, so it's the same kind of aspect. You can basically just unlock the full true potentials of a hog, or you can specifically tune a motorcycle to be good in certain aspects. For example, you could set up the gearing ratios to make it really, really fast or something on a specific track, and that's why tuners are so sought after. There's not many of them. It's pretty rare. It takes a lot of time to get good at it. So there's not a ton of them. It's just kind of, especially because you're dedicating a lot of that time to what could be training and getting better as a rider. So not a lot of people like that trade-off, because you end up being a much weaker rider in general compared to your peers, but because of your skill, you're still valued within the gang. So it's it's a really small subsection of riders end up being tuners, but because of that, they're super fucking valuable. But there's another option of something you could do as a rider if you don't feel like being a combatant necessarily.
Okay.
And speaking of tuners, somewhere in the world of Hogtown, USA exists an elusive guild of the best and brightest tuners in the world, capable of incredible feats and making any rider they work with into world-class talents. Little few know where they reside, how many there are, and how they achieve such feats. Due to their superhuman tuning powers, many assume them to have much larger of an influence over the geopolitical landscape than large gang leaders would like the common riders to believe. It's not an uncommon opinion among the young riders to assume they're the true shadow government controlling the planet. It's like the fucking Illuminati almost. It's just a bunch of super powerful tuners that can basically just make anybody they want as good as they fucking want. Or at least that's this is all under the assumption of you are just the common man. This is what the common man believes, you know, there's more going on behind it here, but I'm not going to fucking lift the veil. I want to be mysterious. Kind of like your mystery slide, Nico. I want to be mysterious. What's up with these guys? What's going on with the Guild of the Hidden Power? Anyways, highway death battles. So due to the primary weakness of riders being getting separated from their machines, death battles often prioritize sheer difference in numbers and equipment to make opponents lose balance or get off the road over sheer damage to each other. Normal rider could tank a point-blank shot from a double barrel, but would likely die quickly in the vulnerability, losing stability in the dirt and falling off their ride. So it is kind of like a death battle thing. Like, you can get shot point-blank by a fucking shotgun and just tank it. But so because being separated from your motorcycle is like largely how you die, most of the time it's just trying to fucking knock people off their bikes. It's like fucking sumo wrestling on motorcycles, almost in a way. And because of that, like, it prioritizes numbers a lot. You can be, you know, skillful and knock people off in different ways or something. But because of that, that's mostly how you fucking die. It's just like getting people to fucking eat shit and get separated from their bikes so you can finish them off. That's largely how it goes.
And then the bikes themselves are also, like, incredibly durable.
They are, yeah. They have the same fortitude as the person themselves. I don't think I have a slide for it, but, like, the bikes can be, like, basically summoned and unsummoned, like, at will, if they wanted to. If that makes any sort of explanation. So you can, like, fucking go take a shit, unsummon your bike, and then pop out and summon it again if you felt so inclined. Your space requirements allow. There's also, I guess I can talk about the fucking tracks. So, because this is a very violent way of doing it, there are some gangs that want to do things more amicably. It's not a very common approach, but it certainly is mostly, I guess, something that people do to just, like, increase their skills. But there is, like, track riding. There are, like, you know, motorcycle tracks scattered around. Again, largely just used to get their, like, general riding skill up and train. But people will use them for, like, actual, like, races of control as well as an alternative to death battles. Maybe if, like, two gangs have a lot more respect for each other, they wouldn't go toward just immediately killing each other. Maybe they would try to sell something through an actual, like, race on a track. So that's, like, the other side of the coin there too, because that's entirely skill based. That's got nothing to do with, you know, just fucking killing each other, which is still skillful, but it is a lot more chaotic, as you'd expect.
Yeah.
Anyways, gangs of significance in the world. Top gang in it, the Chosen, the closest thing to a world government, ruled by the God King, the strongest rider in all of Hogtown, USA, by a considerable margin. Extremely exclusive gang that only recruits the best riders in the world. Some say the minimum top speed requirement is over 1,000 miles an hour, which just gives you a general idea of how ridiculous shit can get with these motorcycles. 1,000 miles an hour. Anyways, we've got the fucking...
That's so fast. Do they, like, leave behind, like, fucking, like, flames on the road when they're riding around?
Oh, yeah, dude, it's sick as shit.
Oh.
It's fucking badass. Next up, we have the Pack. They control vast swaths of the eastern continent, accept large amounts of people that are all somehow fiercely loyal to their leader, Two Wolves, primarily attacking force against the infernal hordes. A lot to unpack there. So for some reason, people are all very fiercely loyal to the leader, Two Wolves of the Pack. And they also are the primary attacking force against the infernal hordes, whatever those are. And of course the...
Are you going to tell us what those are?
Dude, I have more slides, man. I've got 5 more slides.
Okay,
and of course
okay.
the last game of significance, Agartha, somehow colonized the southernmost point of the world. Small group of very skilled circuit riders that no one messes with because it's really cold there. Just in land mass to control the most actual territory in the world. So it's basically a vast swath of fucking cold, barren nothingness, and they just all fucking live down there, and nobody wants to go there because it's too cold, and it's just kind of fucking annoying.
Yeah.
But they own it, by God, they own it. And let's talk more about the God King himself, an enigmatic leader of the Chosen, the top gang in all of Hogtown, USA. Little is known about him outside of the chosen elite of the gang, but he's revered across all the land as the strongest and pinnacle of humanity. Many young riders look up to him and try their best to match his remarkable talent. Hasn't made a public appearance since the last siege from Hog Hell, China, 20 years ago, where it is said he slew Hog Lucifer himself in the greatest highway death battle of all time.
Hog Hell, China?
Hog Hell, China. And speaking of Hog Hell, China, we've got Hog Lucifer himself. So the writers of Hogtown, USA are ignorant to this fact, of course, but all non-writers that die in one way or another, anything but a natural passing, so, if they get ran over, they get sent to the depths of Hog-held China, where they meet the sick and twisted Hog Lucifer, great rival of Hog Jesus, who is all that is righteous and not twisted himself. There, they train until the next grand raid of Hogtown, USA, which occurs every 66 years. During the raid, the thralls of Hog Lucifer rise up from Hog-held China and use their infernal powers to lay waste to all within their path. During this time, the gangs, with some exception, join hands to vanquish the threat and bring back regular anarchy to the world and not infernal anarchy. And of course...
Are these the bad guys?
They are, dude. It's literally just fucking Satan rising up from hell with all the dead people that he's collected in the last 66 years to raid the fucking world and try to take it back. And of course, the pack are the ones that last do that. And fucking... The most recent one, the God King himself, of course, slew Hog Lucifer in a sick fucking death battle.
Do you think anyone wrote like a pretty kick-ass song about their quarrel there?
Almost certainly, dude. Almost fucking certainly. I'm imagining the entire soundtrack is some Pick of Destiny bullshit, which is why I had a lot of like Jack Black pictures on the front page, of course.
Mm-hmm.
All right, the Hogtown USA legends. So the legends of Hogtown USA that can reach 100 years of age become permanent pieces in the world. Such a rare feat is only obtained by about 5 people per year in this world of about 1 billion writers. As a result, as writers get to around 90, their increasing fortitude by age slowly turns into a curse as their bodies harden and eventually turns them into an invulnerable, immobile statue where they last stood, ever holding their silent vigil over their old writing grounds. Gangs largely protect areas around these statues with great fervor as a sign of respect. Though a writer's fortitude protects them like a set of invisible and incredibly durable armor, it cannot protect them from rot. So yeah, if you get around 90 years old, you slowly just start getting fucking turned into a statue, basically, until you hit 100, and then you literally just turn into a fucking statue, and that's just where you last for the rest of your fucking days. And obviously that's like a great big symbol of gangs that they want to protect these, like, sick fucking legends that were able to make it that far. Yes, Tanner?
How old is the God King?
Dude, we don't know.
Oh my god.
We don't have a gosh dang clue. Presumably because he's so powerful, he's quite old, but it's impossible to say, dude. It's impossible to fucking say.
Oh.
What is the last slide? Oh yeah, the isekai aspect of it. So that's what so there's a link to a fucking wheel spin here. That's what every random person spins when they get transported to the world of Hogtown, USA. If you get powers granted to you by Divine Hog himself, Hog Jesus himself, I missed fucking Jesus there, then you start out with the average abilities and fortitude someone would normally have your age, plus about 10% to give you an edge with your unfortunate new circumstances. If you didn't, good luck and have fun with your new world as a road paver or some shit, I guess. Of course, alluding to the fact that if you get into this world, you're probably just going to turn into a fucking slave. Here, let me give you guys this link. It's a fun little thing. Let me give you guys this link,
cool.
And you guys can see what happens.
Was that the last slide?
Cool, spin that wheel for me, guys. Spin that wheel.
Dude, I'm fucking spinning it. Alright, press here. It's gonna happen to me. I got slave for life, unfortunately.
Dude, I also got slave for life, but mine was green.
Bummer.
Mine was yellow, personally.
Dylan also got slave for life. I'm unfamiliar with what color his was, but that's just the way the cookie crumbles, guys. Unfortunate. Hog Jesus can't be so kind to everyone. Alright, I was putting pins in things. I already forgot what those things were that I was pinning. Any lasting questions here that you guys want clarification on?
Dude, what is that rot thing you mentioned on the last actual slide?
That was kind of just supposed to be a cryptic way of saying that, like, people still age and have diseases and shit like the normal, regular world. So, like, getting to 100 even as, like, a regular human is fucking hard. It's mostly just trying to say that, like, the fortitude makes you really durable to, like, physical attacks or something, but like you could still get fucking cancer and die or some shit. That's kind of just what that's trying to imply.
Okay. Do you think that there's anyone out there who, instead of doing like the typical like car fights, instead they'll want to put on a little bit more of a show, and so they get like rings of fire, or, like jump over cars, stuff like that? They do like stunt shows to duke it out. Probably
there's some shit like that. I don't think they'd be particularly successful. Because they probably just get, killed by people that don't want to do that and take their fucking territory.
Yeah.
It's a rough world out there. Even if you are a writer, you're still kind of living in a hellscape, to be honest.
Yeah.
Well, fantastic. There we go, guys. That was Hogtown, USA. I hope you liked my presentation.
I loved it, dude.
I loved it. It was very entertaining.
It was everything a Hogtown could have dreamed of. Well, fantastic. Dude, I enjoyed it quite a bit. I liked it. I think that could work. We're in a horrific drought of vehicle-based shonen at the moment, so, I think it could fill the shoes that Initial D left behind all those years ago.
So true, so true. All right, Dylan, who's definitely been here the entire time, please introduce your own shonen and or isekai world to us.
Hey guys, yeah, I was like silent and mute and deaf, and also for some reason I was definitely here the whole time like Jackson was saying. Anyway, my isekai world is called Phase Runner, and I even did something funny, and I did, it's like 4HAZ3RUNN 3R, because, code, even though codes are zeros and ones, ignore that part. This isekai world is kind of inspired by Code Lyoko. It's one of my childhood favorite shows, and I had brought this up partially on the short story challenge because, I just love yapping and telling stories, and this ultimately ended up confusing everybody, and they're like, it kind of seems like you were starting to build a world and then didn't really do anything. So here's me building out the world. Feel free to interrupt and ask questions. I don't feel like it'll interrupt the flow all that much because I didn't proofread this at all, so we'll see how this goes. So the power scaling system in this world is it's gonna be based off of like the specs of like the electronics, so as far as like computers and like phones and everything go. And so for fairness and balance, these skill traits will be based on the following: speed, reaction time, power, energy, defense, and phase duration. And the definitions of these are as follows. Speed, which is linked directly to RAM. It's the rate at which an entity can travel and combat another entity. Basically, it's exactly what it says. Reaction time, which is linked to graphics card. The rate at which an entity can dodge and process movement. So just for clarification, speed and reaction time are not one and the same in this universe. You either have one or the other. You have power, which is CPU, which is the physical potential of an enemy. So basically how hard you could punch, how hard you could swing a sword, how hard you could swing a club, physical actions. Energy, which is linked to the power source, is the potential output of an entity if they have ranged or special attacks, blasts, weapons, guns, bows, things like that. Defense, which is the motherboard, is the potential to mitigate and block damage from any source, just because I ran out of components of the generalized electronics system to not do like energy defense and physical defense, so I just combined them together and then kind of sub-delegated them in the lore later. And then phase duration, which phase duration is inherent to this world, which is linked to the cooling system, and it's the amount of time a user or entity can remain at the same power before de-escalation, which is like, basically think of, it's kind of like a combination between like Gundam and Dragon Ball, where it's like the lower your power goes, the more your power goes down, the more of like your armor and your weapons you lose access to. Does that all click and gel so far with you guys? Is that confusing any of you?
I guess I'll ask the elephant in the room here real quick. So are these just like what they refer to the things as, like they call speed RAM, or are there like there's like actual computer components affecting these attributes in a person?
Yeah, so I was trying to say before, the speed, all those, the ones that are on the left side, what the names are, that is like what attributes to the stat name. The ones, the things in the parentheses is like what that stat is linked to, and that'll become more pertinent as I go on explaining how the world works. So basically,
it's like in Digimon, how all the creatures are like technically like code, except in this case they're like computers.
Yeah, and instead of the Digimon being digital monsters, you are becoming digitally augmented in the digital world.
Okay, that just confused me, but I'll move on anyway. Can you give an example of like Like, what does someone who has high speed but low reaction time look like?
For a funny example, I'll say that somebody can move insanely fast, but they don't have their reaction time to compensate for it, so they just run into objects and shit all the time. So, like, you can be really fast, but you could just get hit by a bunch of shit.
Okay.
Like, basically, if you were fast, but somebody was the same speed as you, but you don't have the reaction time, then you just get hit by them. It doesn't matter how fast you are.
I'm picturing like a Juggernaut-esque character where he's just like this big guy who can fucking launch himself, but like, if he's wanting to really maneuver around and, you know, dodge shit, it ain't happening.
That's a pretty good,
That's a great pull.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough, I was literally looking up, Juggernaut and his powers and shit today.
He's fucking weird. What's his deal? Why is he like this crazy magical being?
Was he always supposed to be magic? And if so, why has he always been associated with the X-Men portion of the universe?
I don't know. It's very strange.
Yeah.
Magic is a mutant ability. Anywho.
It very expressly isn't, is the thing.
Alright, so the properties and principles in which this world operates are as follows. For obvious reasons, there are yin and yang abilities in general. For every positive, there's a negative. This much is certain. However, there are forces beyond these that control the flow of our battles. These quote-unquote outside forces are known as reality specs. For all intents and purposes, you better hope you planned yours well. Along with choosing your cyber build, what you use to phase to the cyber is going to affect your performance. I will list now how the different reality specs react with one another. And this will hopefully this goes into clarifying what you were asking, Tanner, but we'll see. Reaction time versus speed. Speed is the overall way in which you can move and flow. Not only does it mean running speed, but it also refers to mobility and acrobatics. Reaction time, however, is not the same. This specifically refers to how quick you can move out of the way of an attack, or if you even know if it's coming at all. In this essence, reaction time is mentally focused while speed is physically focused. Power versus energy. Power is the physical strength of an entity as compared to the stored output of one. Power is more focused on the grapple strength, the melee capability, and the weapon proficiency of an entity, whereas energy focuses on energy blasts, shields, and specialty long-range weapons, ergo bows, snipers, etc. Defense. Defense is the overall capability to avoid damage. It is very self-explanatory, but the severity of the damage taken is also based on the entity's ability to disrupt that damage, ergo physical or energy shields are two simple examples. Phase duration. This relies specifically on how long an entity can exist in phase.
What is phase?
Phase is, so when an entity enters through like a phone or a computer or some kind of digital device and uses that thing's specs to kind of transform and go into combat mode, that is a phase. And then that timer starts ticking down. It's how long they are able to stay in that combat-ready form.
Oh, okay, so it's like Summer Wars.
Yes, I kind of remember Summer Wars, but I will say yes. Battles in this world are very one-to-one. There are no power or friendship moments. There is no hidden power. More on this later. Everything is very straightforward and the stakes are always high. Everyone in the world is allowed to create an avatar in the world to alter only their outward appearance. However, this does not allow them to change their physical body features. Everyone in one facet or another is recognizable to a certain degree in the phase. Aside from avatar creation and builds, everyone is assigned a single weapon, and each one is unique per avatar. No two people are allowed to have the same weapon, but two people can have certain weapon variations, or certain variations of said weapon. Every weapon in the space is bound to avatars by code, which means that no one is allowed to load into the space and use a mimicry of a weapon they have seen from the outside. There are, in fact, only two ways to take someone's weapon. You can beat them in a fight and remove the weapon bound to them from their avatar, or they can access the full array of weaponry using administrative access. Administrative access, for all intents and purposes, is understandably only accessible by a certain few people. Not only because of the level of complexity of the world, but also because when you're messing with a fourth dimensional augmented reality, it isn't exactly the most simple thing.
Dude, I got a question based on that. Fourth dimensional augment, so like, is the phase magic or something?
So in this world,
was there like is it like Ready Player One, where like there's one specific dude who created this virtual world, or is it kind of steeped in mystery?
It's a little bit of both, because what ends up happening in this world is there is a fourth dimensional, like, augmented reality space that is overlaid in parallel to the real world. So basically, you've got all these buildings and everything, and we have augmented reality in this world to create the environment that people live and see every single day. So this virus that I'll be getting into later inhabits that virtual world and can use existing there to project threats or like glitches or whatever into the real world. So it's like a parallel augmented reality that's digital.
Okay.
Yeah. Access to the phase requires special access via a portal screen or creating an application or program to force a portal screen. Our main character, you, has developed a program that he carries on himself that allows him to access the phase wherever and whenever he wants. But he needs to be very careful about what device he's using, because depending on what he chooses, he can be very limited in his capabilities and combat potential, reference above. Our main character does, however, have a lot of computer proficiency, and he created a program that allows him to overclock his devices if he so chooses to do so. This, however, has a few backlashes that should be minded. First of those backlashes being it having the potential to fry the device he is currently using. For reasons that we in the real world are very accustomed to, overclocking in moderation and not high intensity can be fine. However, in a world where we are transporting a human body into a virtual landscape to allow them to do combat and explore an entire world makes it understandable that most devices could not handle that strain. Not only that, but overclocking a device to enhance battle prowess also reduces the phase timer. Every avatar while in combat has a phase timer, and it's all dependent on how long the device can sustain the session without overheating.
So, in the real world, when someone enters the phase, do you watch their physical being, like, disappear?
Yeah.
Okay. If you die in phase, do you die for real?
No, you do not.
Okay.
Do you just get, like, booted out?
Yeah, you do.
Okay. Are there any, like, repercussions for dying there at all?
I think I include something about that later, so I'm not going to speak on it now. I will think on it while I read, though, in case I didn't.
Alright, we'll put a pin in that.
Yeah, put a pin in that.
Dude, what's you sound like me all of a sudden?
In regard to the phase timer, there is a completely separate timer that limits the amount of time that any individual can traverse the virtual world. This operates off of the same principle as the overheating of the device, but this problem also puts a safeguard on the system as a whole. If a device is put over on its limit while a person is using it, the device powers itself off to protect the hardware and systems within it, and not allow the user to return the same way they came in. This doesn't strand a person in the world doomed to wander it forever, it just forces them to find another safe alternative to escape. But there is not always a safe way to return. This world is being afflicted by a living AI virus that is using this world to fester and grow, build up enough power, and use that to breach the real world and rain chaos using augmented reality to do so. I bring this up because if one of these AI virus nodes is defeated in combat, it allows the avatar to travel through the breach made by the AI virus and escape to the real world. Combat, when the original device is out of service, limits the avatar to the scope of the ambient tech sources in the area. This is, a majority of the time, only good for a very limited amount of time, and at a severely reduced combat potential. Augmented reality threats in the real world are usually only capable of being dealt with in the phase, meaning that although things may seem real, there's not much you could do about it. While the threats appear in the real world, it can only be dealt with by finding the AI virus node and purging it from the system. Much like being able to escape the phase, you can also enter it via the virus portal the augmented creature or threat has appeared through. This, of course, offers the same dangers and threats described before, that being you are at risk of having your avatar corrupted by the AI, and you only have the ambient technology in the area to utilize your combat potential. However, in matters of emergency, where there are no convenient devices, this is a valid and viable option. In fact, in some cases, if the avatar is able to overcome and redirect the virus AI in their favor, they can be on par with the threat at hand. I think I was going to write more, but I either couldn't think of anything else or how to expand on it, so
Dude.
Yeah.
What was that thing we put a pin in again?
If you died,
does dying have any real-world repercussions?
So, since this story is heavily influenced by Code Lyoko, and I'm going to imagine I'm the only one here that's watched it, and I kind of know for a fact I probably was.
I mean, I have watched it.
What usually ends up happening is, if you get, like, defeated in battle in the digital world, your avatar kind of dissipates, and then it boots you out from wherever you came from. However, in this sense, if your avatar gets destroyed, you kind of have to escape via some other portal you're able to find. And obviously that has less limitations based on the fact that you kind of just have what's in your environment to power off of, and then you have to somehow figure out how to make that work with either defeating some kind of virus node or some portal screen that somebody else like opens up for you or something along those lines.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Is the existence of phase like a widespread thing in the real world, or is it like a select few people who even know this is a thing?
There is a handful of people that know it exists. It's like a smaller group. The idea is it's kind of like the cliche antagonist, something bad happened to them. So they want to get revenge on society. So he created and integrated this AI virus that learns and, grows to wreak havoc on the real world. So this group of like kids basically is like, oh, we know how to stop. It's a group of like computer nerds, I guess, if you want to say that.
Right.
And they go to combat it so they can protect the world from these digital threats and stop it at its source. The idea is like killing it at its roots instead of like at the stem, and hopefully just getting rid of it, because this AI code is like running rampant because obviously it's growing and learning at a very rapid pace. So like just defeating it once obviously it isn't even close to stopping it. So yeah.
You mentioned that like the virus can come into the real world. Does it have to stay within a certain distance of the computer or whatever it used to break out of the virtual world, or how
No, see, that's the scary part about it, is once it's accumulated enough mass and enough code and enough energy, since the real world is being augmented, is just augmented reality, pretty much like 90% of it, it can kind of just create its own breach and appear wherever it wants to. And then it can kind of do whatever it wants. That's what makes the AI such a dangerous thing. Not only, and I guess not the scary part, a little bit, is that to the average person, or people who don't know anything or know anything's wrong, they just don't know what's happening. So because a lot of their world is augmented reality anyway. So a monster roaming around or whatever happening, as long as it's not posing an immediate threat, isn't going to be immediately obvious to them.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the real world isn't like our own.
No, it's set in the future. When I was telling the short story, it was like 2175 or something like that. It was way far into the future.
It's Batman Beyond style.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking sick.
What are the politics of the future?
Dude.
Do the good guys win?
Yeah, of course the good guys win. Why wouldn't the good guys win?
Is communism on the rise?
Dude, maybe, but not here.
I noticed it says in the history book that the good guys have won every single time.
How about that?
Dude, this is my last question. So you say this is inspired by Code Lyoko. I've seen the show. I don't remember anything from it though. How does this really differ from Code Lyoko?
Dude.
What are the main differences?
Mainly just the fact of the power scaling system. In Code Lyoko, the problem with Code Lyoko is if there was a prequel to it, or any world building, maybe some kind of, it was French, so I can't say manga or whatever. I have no clue how that world works. The only, information we know is they go into the basement of the school or a house, I don't remember where. They upload themselves into this portal machine and they go into the digital world, and then they kind of just have these powers, and then they either win or they lose. I understand this isn't really differentiating too much. It's supposed to be more along the lines of, I guess mine is just to add more structure. There's not a crazy amount of difference.
You added a power system. That's what you're
basically
saying.
It. Yeah. I'm not trying to advertise that this is 100% different. This is literally just supposed to be Code Lyoko if it was put in the future and the virus was like AI, and then also there was more variety, and it was, up to date or something. I don't know.
Okay.
Well, badass. There you have it, folks. That's all the presentations, and if you want to check out our next pre-guap, we'll tell you which one won.
Oh,
Whoopee!
yeah. Advertising at its finest.
Your job is to read through all of ours, Dylan.
It sounds like it's not going to be hard.
I don't know.
Tanner, I've seen yours, and Jackson's shown me his already, and Nico just wants to present his to me or something. I don't know how that's going to work, so I don't really...
Literally what I said in the message is what I expected. It's you watch the video.
There we go. So I'll have to watch the episode in order to do the pre-guap, I guess. How is that going to work? Yeah. The episode comes out after we record.
No, it doesn't.
Does it not?
No, it comes out like 2 hours before.
Well, we can just give you the link prior.
Yeah, we can also just do that.
Yeah. Badass.
Speaking of massive hogs.
I can't wait to take a look at Tanner's massive hog over on Guapish at the Movies.
Guapish at the Movies?
Bye, Miss Laura.
Jackson, what did we watch this week? What did we watch? Come on, quit playing coy. What did we watch?
The Patreon pick this week, as requested by for some reason, the website's saying Lava Skin requested. I know that's false. I'm pretty sure it's Netta Gant requested it. Is Django Unchained, the 2012 film. Thanks for the request. And if you also want to get your movie picked and correctly named, just like Netta did, go to guapish.com/Patreon or patreon.com/Guapish for $1 a month, and we'll talk about your movie. This is the story of Django, who is in fact a slave who is freed by a fucking, I guess we'll call him, he initially is a dentist, but he's not. He's actually a bounty hunter, and he's trying to make some money. So he also then wants to go find a plot. I'm doing a fucking terrible job explaining this shit. You all know the plot of Django. He gets his wife back and hilarity ensues.
Fun fact, Jamie Foxx actually used his own personal horse for this movie, Cheetah.
He has his own personal horse? That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's a fun fact, Tanner. Well, we do not have Dylan's ranks yet, so we have no idea what he ranked these movies. I can only assume he loved each and every one of them, though. Tanner, where are you putting this movie here?
I am in between an A+ and an S-.
Whoa. Jackson?
I am at an A+ myself.
Hot damn. I am at a flat A.
So why'd you fucking hate this movie?
You know, I'd say I generally liked it. Saying I hate it is maybe a little harsh, but I will say it's a little on the long side, just a tad. So, for reference here, I have actually seen this movie before. However, I did stop watching it at a certain point, and that would be that Tarantino bit when he shows up. And I gotta say, when I got there, that totally makes sense, because that is the exact moment where I was like, this needs to wrap up. It's getting a bit long. It just overstates welcome a little bit, which I didn't like. Other than that, I'd say I largely really enjoyed it. One last little thing, I guess. One last tiny, itty-bitty baby complaint I have. So,
there's a Wilhelm scream.
There is a Wilhelm scream. I didn't like that. So speaking of that scene, so we all know the scene where they're discussing the bag situation, okay? The bag situation is pretty crazy, and while I do like that scene, I know I find it quite funny, it's like really the only time something like that happens in the movie, and it causes it to feel kind of out of place.
I was also going to kind of add on to your point, Quentin Tarantino is really bad in this.
Dude, his accent is so dog shit. What the fuck is he yelling for?
Rough.
I think the funniest part of him is that he set himself up as some dog shit character that gets blown up by a bunch of dynamite. I think that's funny. But yeah, he does not do a great job. I didn't even like his performance in Pulp Fiction. People said they liked him in that one. I just don't think he's a great actor, to be honest.
He's not.
He's not, and yeah.
And he's not supposed to be, so...
You know, I respect himself putting him in this movie. I would agree with you, Nico. Honestly, I've watched this movie like 3 times now, front to back, and I think I've generally been okay with the pacing for the most part. I can definitely see where you're coming from. The ending part definitely does feel like it drags. It's like we kind of have I don't know.
It's like we have a climax, then a dip, then another climax.
Yeah. They certainly could have made it work where it was like a big shootout, they kill him, and then they just ride off into the sunset, and he doesn't get caught, but like... The going back for seconds thing, I still think it's entertaining, and I think all that is well done, especially like that final fight is really fun and cool. Yeah, but I can definitely, I do like that
we don't just see that like Django's like, you know, a Gary Stu or whatever, that he's just able to like fucking get his way out of all these situations where he does actually end up like fucking failing at some point.
That does kind of lead into like my major problem, and I don't know how much I really should count this against the movie, is like, you know, obviously this is like a revenge power fantasy sort of a movie, but also like Django is just kind of a Gary Stu. He's just like great at everything he tries the first time, and he really just doesn't struggle at all. Yes, they like get the better of him and whatever, and you know they could have written it so I guess he just, you know, fucking no scopes those dozens of guys, but like there just really is no sense that Django is not going to get out of this at any point.
Yeah, I wouldn't really say I felt any sort of, I suppose, danger for their situation. I mean, obviously I've seen the fucking movie twice before I saw it this time, so I knew everything that was coming up. But like I remember even in the initial things I was watching, I never really felt any sort of fear for the characters at all. Like he's doing some crazy shit a lot of the time. He's saying some insane things on these people that want him dead, and he doesn't really get punished for it a lot of the time, which kind of just kills the tension a bit.
Yeah, and like I said, like there isn't even really supposed to be tension, just that's like not what the movie is going for, so like I don't know how much to actually like, or even if I should count that against it. But yeah, I agree.
Well, aside from like the one scene where they like realize what their actual plan is here, that they're just like trying to come get his wife, that they have zero intention of actually paying $500,000 for that one guy. That scene where they're like, I'm gonna fucking bash her brains at that scene, you know, that was a little tense.
But yeah, I can agree with the ending specifically, how it is like, you know, we have the big action scene, and then he gets captured and then sent away, and then he just kind of goes back right away. It's a little unsatisfying. Jesus, I don't know why I was struggling to find that word.
Yeah, just him escaping the captivity. Like, also he uses his cleverness and quick wit to, you know, outthink the people that has him caged up. That whole scene felt a little forced.
Yeah, but I guess, you know, one way I do immediately think maybe I would have found better is if, like, they were sending Django and Brunhild to the mining company, and then he just, and like they have like a bunch of the plantation people like escorting them there, and then he escapes from that situation, kills them all there in that situation, and then she and him leaves instead of going all the way back to the house. But that's...
They could have made it like a 4-hour-long epic where he goes and conquers the fucking mines and frees the slave.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, we've been dogging on this movie a lot, but it's a really well-made movie. It's shot phenomenally. It's very entertaining. The dialogue is fantastic. I think everyone does a really good job acting, especially Leonardo's fantastic. He's electric on screen as he normally is, and I think he's definitely my favorite character in the movie.
Samuel Jackson, the dentist character, they all fantastic
Christoph
performances.
Waltz.
Yeah, him.
It's just a really fucking entertaining movie, even with its length. Like, I can definitely just sit here and watch this shit for 3 hours. It's super fun. It's really funny at times. Like that whole scene with the KKK people with the masks. Like, I agree, it's a non sequitur, but it's a funny scene, you know, and I think it works well.
Yeah. And yeah, I agree. Aside from, you know, that the ending part that we were talking about, I think it's very well paced for such a long movie. And yeah, great over the top action. It is insane to me that this movie came out and then like the entire movie industry was like, we're done using squibs in action scenes, right? I don't get it.
Yeah, you know, I have like one more minor complaint. The whoosh zoom-ins that they do, they're a little overused. They do them a bit too many times for my liking.
It's a Western, man. Come on. It's a Western. Come on.
You know, the atmosphere is the best part of this film. That, like, you know, Tarantino, it's crazy how much his style complements the Western genre. Some of the environments that they use for this film are also really beautiful. In that one scene where Django, like, kills those two brothers who are about to, like, you know, whip that woman. Just the tree canopy above them, like, felt so unique, and it really helps to add to not make this feel like some, like, dusty, drab Western movie. It's really solid stuff there. Yeah, we talked about like the other actors. Jamie Foxx also was no slouch in this movie either. He does a really great job of sort of portraying this timid man who's able to come into his own after gaining his freedom. It's just really good stuff all around, you know. Of course, 3 white boys talk about how much they love a Tarantino movie.
I guess I will slightly disagree with you there, just because, like, I guess one other complaint that kind of adds into, like, the Gary Stu thing is, like, Django is not much of a character at all. He's more of a force of nature than anything, which, like, again, that's what he's supposed to be, so I don't know if or how much I should count that against the movie at all.
I disagree. He very much so feels like his own character here. Like, he's not just like some unfeeling beast who's like hunting these people down or anything like that. He does very much so have his own drive and feelings in these situations. Like, you know, he was once a slave, and I'm sure he does not feel great about needing to like really dog on these other slaves, but it's like he knows it's what he has to do in order to act the part, in order to get his woman back.
I wish this movie had a bit more of an emotional pathos with me. Like, there's the whole big thing about him trying to get his wife back. That's the backbone of this movie, but I don't really feel like, I don't know, man. Maybe I'm trying to make the movie something it's not supposed to be, but like, I don't know. There could have been like a nice emotional scene about them reconnecting or something, you know? I never really felt any sort of way about it. It was mostly just like a fun action movie more than anything, which is also the fucking point, but...
Yeah.
The blood effects, another random thing. Crazy. Just getting like some like anime ass like gushing blood when they get shot or something is ridiculous, very silly.
Yeah, that's what Tanner was saying about the squibs. It's great. I love how fucking gruesome it is. Like when he's using that body as a shield to just like lay behind it, and there's just like these explosions of blood all around him as he's shooting people.
I didn't know that's what those squids were. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about, squids? I get it now.
Yeah, squib is what they call the little exploding blood packs that movies use.
Ah, you learn something new every day.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of exploding blood packs, let's hear what Dylan thought about this film.
Dylan, what'd you think about Django Unchained?
Golly, man. Does this movie... let me get my ranking out of the way. I don't know if you guys have said it already.
Yeah, we said it.
Well, I'm gonna reiterate here. I gave it an A+. I have no basis for this movie, really. I think this one takes the record for most N-words used again, unless we're not counting... It didn't use the hard R as much, I don't think. Probably. I wasn't paying that much attention. Was this movie supposed to be a comedy? I imagine it was. Right?
It certainly had comedic elements to it.
Was it not supposed to be a comedy? I don't want to label it as a comedy, I suppose.
I don't think it's supposed to be read as a comedy.
That's crazy.
Like, it's definitely, like... I'm trying to think of what the right word... Because comedic isn't the right word, but it is very
humorous?
Much like... It's... I wouldn't even say that, because there's lots of stuff in here where it's, like, winking and nodding at the audience, but it's not necessarily, like, wanting you to laugh. I really can't think of what a decent word to describe it is.
Well, as long as we're all on the same page and have a general idea of what I'm trying to say, I suppose that's good enough. I mean, I enjoyed watching this movie a fair bit. I'm not gonna say I like all Westerns, but I think this movie was well acted, and I think it was shot fairly well as well. There were a few goofy parts in there that I was unsure about. The only one that really rings in my head right now is at the very end of the movie, where he's in the house coming back after they send him off to go to like the fucking mining place or whatever. And he guns down all... By the way, this guy, Django, killing, like, half a militia and then coming back to finish off the other half, unrealistic as hell, but goddamn it, it's kind of fucking cool. It got me, I will say. But the part that was a little off to me was, when... I don't remember the name of the sister, but he was like, oh yeah, say goodbye to... And this is why I asked if it was a comedy. Say goodbye to whatever her name was, and he fucking shoots her, and then she just flies out of scene, out of fucking the doorway. And I'm like, I don't know if physics works that way. I understand she got shot, but it kind of looks like she got the ye old like cartoon hook off the screen, and it looked kind of silly and bad. But yeah, I mean, I don't really have a ton to say about this movie. It was just kind of a fun, easy, enjoyable watch for me. I like the adventures that we were going through. I like how, we had the moral struggles in different parts of the movie between Django and the German man that I'm unfortunately forgetting the name of as well. Kind of sad ending where the German guy ends up getting got, but I kind of, took it in stride and acknowledged, like, to make this a more effective ending, I think that death works really well for this movie. But yeah, I don't have a crazy amount else to say about this movie.
It's funny you mentioning the ending a lot with the guy dying, that happened like before the final act and before the ending.
Dude, this movie stretches on for a while. I'm not gonna say it drags on, because that's not entirely true, but they hit a conclusion, and then it feels like it's gonna end, and then it doesn't. So, I guess I fucking love this movie, obviously. I gave it an A+. I will say, maybe, I'm not gonna say pacing issues, I'll say pacing oddities, where they could have cleaned it up, but I think it works fine for the final product that they put out.
We're in complete agreement with you. We had the exact same kind of thought process about it.
I'm learning, dude. I'm fucking learning. Who knew?
Holy shit.
Well, fantastic, dude.
Oh, should I say the actual full rank now? The true rank.
Probably,
that's not
yeah.
Tentative. It doesn't fucking change. We gave it 2 A+ and an A, and your A+ unsurprisingly keeps it at an A+.
Let's go. I am one with the Guapish.
Wow, he hated it.
That's crazy.
Can't believe that guy.
Does he not like black people?
Starting to suspect something there. But guys, do we have any further thoughts on Django Unchained?
No.
I don't think I do either.
It's one of those movies where it's just a really fundamentally well-made, solid movie that there isn't just a whole lot of details to talk about, at least for me. Especially because the plot is pretty surface level. There's nothing crazy going on. It's a good movie. I'm giving it an A+.
Yeah, love him or hate him, that Tarantino guy knows how to make a film. I'm giving it an A.
Do I think that this one dips into the S tier for me? What else do I have in S- tier that I can compare this to reasonably?
Elmo and Grouchland.
Yeah, Elmo and Grouchland. RoboCop, Tombstone. There we go. I'll compare it. Do I think it's better than Tombstone?
This blows Tombstone out the fucking water. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
The thing, kind of what you mentioned, with pathos, I got much more emotionally invested in Tombstone because Tombstone's a bit less silly than this one, but I don't know if that really matters. How do I think it compares action-wise to The Raid? I don't think it's as good as The Raid, action-wise. I think I can definitely see me changing this in the future. I'm gonna go A+ as well. And
it lands at an A+.
How fun.
At least for now. We don't know what Dylan's rank is. You probably gave a fucking
yeah,
a
that's
D.
also true.
He either should a D+ or something. We're not factoring in his rank right now. The power of editing will fix this error.
Yeah.
He started at an S+, and every time they said the N-word, he dropped it a rank.
Oh god, it's an F-.
Check it out, guys. This is a photo I took of Mochi while we were watching Tombstone.
Wow.
Look at him. Look at that beast.
He was so small then. He was so small and cute.
Anyway, speaking of being small and cute, we have the 2007 film Evan Almighty, as requested by Tanner. Please tell us about it.
That's right. Evan Almighty is a spin-off / sequel of Bruce Almighty, where the character Evan Baxter is contacted by God and told he needs to build an ark, and this conflicts with his new job as a United States congressperson. And everything works out. The end. Fun fact. Oh, I got a picture to go along with this one. They built that ark for real, man.
Oh.
Hold on, I got a picture here. Boom.
Damn, check that shit out.
Yeah, they just actually built that shit, and then they just tore it down afterwards.
I heard the budget for this movie was off the fucking charts. So that doesn't shock me.
Yeah, to build something like that, no-brainer there. Jackson. Also, good fun fact. Jackson, where are you ranking this one?
I'm at a flat D.
Tanner, how about yourself?
I'm not crazy far off. I'm at a C minus.
Okay, and I'm right in between you two at a D plus. And you were berating me last week, being like, give the movie a chance. You don't know it's gonna be bad.
I feel like you're putting a lot more oomph in my words than we're actually there.
This movie sucks. This movie's so fucking stupid and unfunny and a bunch of lowbrow shitty humor and a forced fucking, oh yeah, we just have to spend time together. It's just a fucking, it's just a bad movie, dude. I don't even think the performances are really great. There isn't a whole ton to grasp onto here, to be honest. I thought it was really fucking stupid and I was bored and annoyed by it the whole time.
And it's simply at a base level premise-wise is far less interesting than Bruce Almighty. Instead, what if a man was God? What if a guy had to build a boat? It's like, all right.
Yeah,
fair enough.
One thing that immediately struck me in comparison is that, like, the premise of Bruce Almighty where he gets all of the powers of God just gives you a lot more room to do interesting stuff than being like, oh, you have to recreate a specific Bible story. Mm-hmm. Like, it just constrains you so much more.
One of the things that peeves me so much is that, like, they build up so much tension, and maybe you guys would disagree with me on this point, but, like, it feels like there should be a lot more consequence for him building this fucking ark and shit. Like, the white friends, like, take away the kids and stuff, but, like, doesn't even, like, necessarily lose his job or anything, and also it's, like, all ends just hunky dory in the end. It didn't really feel like there was any sort of pressure for me. Like, it never felt like anything bad of consequence was actually going to happen, regardless of the situation being so uncanny. And he does such a bad job of even trying to explain it. Like, there's so many fucking animals swarming you, that's not normal. Why is he just, like, rolling with it like this is just some normal shit? Like, why is he not trying to explain anything? Or even just give some bullshit excuse like, I don't fucking know there's 50 birds in this room with me? Why are you asking me? Like, he puts no effort into it. It's just really fucking stupid.
Yeah, he's not like, look, I can't fucking shave it, or he, like, tries to do and it immediately grows back. It's like, there's just no attempts at trying to prove that this crazy shit is actually happening to him. Yeah, it's weird. Obviously, the most unrealistic part, though, is that, he was actually reading the whole bill.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, why... the actor is not great in here. Honestly, I haven't seen a ton of The Office, but he acts a lot like the dude in The Office. I don't know if that's just, like, how they directed him to act, or if that's just how he acts in everything. The main character's who I'm talking about, by the way, for my non-Office watchers. He just wasn't very great, to be honest, and the fucking kids were bad, and it's,
Yeah, the kids were not good. Since Dylan isn't here, by the way, I'll just go ahead and do one of his things where he's like, guys, did you notice that the oldest son is from Scott Pilgrim?
No.
Yeah. He plays young Neil in that. Isn't that crazy?
Huh.
Yeah, the humor in this is really stupid. Lots of dumb slapstick, just making him look like a bumbling idiot. Other stuff of like, is that a hacking llama with a hammer? It's just, it's just a bunch of fucking bullshit. They also jump to all the god shit, like, really fast in this. He just immediately shows up.
I mean, honestly, I was kind of happy that we got into the actual premise really early on.
Yeah. I mean, all of the dialogue exchanges with him as well were just, like, really weird and stilted. They did not feel natural whatsoever. Where our main character, I don't fucking remember his name, Noah, he was just, like, all of his interactions with him did not feel organic whatsoever. It didn't feel like he was trying to talk to a real person, where he's just like, huh? You're here now.
What's up with that?
Whatever, guy.
I would agree. I think probably my favorite scene in the movie was when he was, like, trying to get to work in a taxi or something, and just everywhere he looked was God, and that was, like, his way of convincing you. I think that was kind of fun, but, like, that was about it.
I like John Goodman. John Goodman's a funny guy.
I love that dude. He's a great actor.
Yeah. Good stuff there. We need to watch more movies with John Goodman in it. Anyway, what did Dylan think of this one? I can only assume he was much kinder than we were.
All right, Dylan, tell us about Evan Almighty.
Dude, Evan Almighty, Oh wait, do I have to? Am I summarizing? Is that what's going on here?
No.
Okay, thank God.
No, you're giving us what you think of the movie.
Well, Morgan Freeman is God again. I only say that because I watched this in tandem with Bruce Almighty. I kind of just thought these movies were two sides of the same coin, and they're not really, but, like, I could see in a universe because, not Jim Carrey, fucking, not Ben Stiller either. What the hell is his name? Oh no. What's his name? I forgot.
Chris Evans.
Not Chris Evans.
Steve Carell.
Steve Carell. Steve Carell is also in both movies. And, anyway, regardless of that, this movie gives the same energy as Bruce Almighty, and this one has more animals, I guess.
You sound so hesitant with every word you said. You truly believe what you're saying.
I don't really know what to say about this movie without it sounding generic. I don't know how I could describe this movie without talking about the plot.
I do have a question here. I mean, I guess it's not really a question, more so a comment. Did you just say it has more animals?
I'm pretty sure it has more animals than Bruce Almighty.
That's
that's
probably a
beside the
good
point.
estimation.
Yeah, but why are you bringing that up?
Because that's
Is
one
that
of
a
the
positive to you?
That's one of the
That's the presence.
That's just one of the defining differences between this movie and Bruce Almighty to me.
Okay.
I'm just trying to.
How does that affect your rank? I guess compared to Bruce Almighty, like, does having more animals make it go up for you?
No, it's the same. It's the same rank as Bruce Almighty for me. I started this whole thing off by saying Evan Almighty and Bruce Almighty are coded the same way in my memory, so it didn't really change all that much watching this again. I enjoyed it. I think it's fine. I think it's a funny spin on a story. I think pretty much everybody knows whether or not they're religious or not. It's funny in a Steve Carell kind of way, I guess. I enjoyed Morgan Freeman's performance as always. I think he's great in every movie he's in because he's Morgan Freeman, and that is a bias I will die on. So whatever. Yeah, I gave it a fucking B plus. Yeah, B plus, just like Bruce Almighty. I don't have anything else.
So
crazy
you see
to say
these
about
films
this
as
movie.
being like of the same caliber, like these are the same quality.
Yeah, these are basically the same movie to me.
That is a crazy statement.
How so? What's the hang up here?
This is a substantially worse film.
I don't know, man. They're the same in my mind. I can't separate them. I don't know how recently. What episode was Bruce Almighty? That had to have been 6 months ago.
Dude, I think Bruce Almighty was maybe over a year ago.
Dude, it's so hard to tell. But, listen, guys, you know I love movies, more than your average Joe. So it should not shock you that okay. I guess I could see it shocking as to you guys think Bruce Almighty is better, you think this is worse. I just think they're the same in my mind.
But why is
Yeah, that's
that?
crazy.
I think it's a childhood stigma of, of Morgan Freeman being God and Bruce Almighty, and then Morgan Freeman being God and Evan Almighty, and in my kid brain, I was like, these movies are, the same. And I just, my brain defaults to that, even to this day. I enjoy watching both of them equally.
Yeah, so we gave this one a D plus, and a C minus, so you are pretty substantially raising this one's overall. I don't know what the fucking landed at previously, but now it's at a flat C.
Yeah, that's fine.
Nice, then.
Yeah.
Shout out Evan Almighty.
Shout out Evan Almighty.
Whoa, and I was gonna add on, I'm a bit higher than you guys just because, I don't know. I did have a little fun in this movie, but, only a little. I liked watching the baboons carry stuff around.
I was literally about to say you liked watching the monkeys, didn't you?
Yeah. Yeah. I was surprised at how much, how many... I guess I was surprised at the actual capability of the baboons.
The whole ending sequence of the flood is insanity. What the fuck are you talking about? And the way it ends is retarded. What are we doing here, man? My mouth was agape, bearing witness to that entire sequence.
Yeah, it looked kind of rough. I will say, though, at least they didn't make God go back on his word about flooding the earth again.
Yeah, I was being I wonder how they're going to get around that one, or if they bother to, and, it was a fine enough explanation.
Yeah. For reference, Jackson, God said after he did the flood, they wouldn't do that again.
I didn't know that, dude.
Yeah.
How can we trust him, though? Would he lie? Does God lie? Is God a known liar?
No, he doesn't lie.
That seems in character. I'll have to believe you.
I think it's more so like he's maybe like metaphysically incapable of lying. Like if he attempted to lie, it would just become true.
He'd will it with his subconscious. If you could even say God has a
Yeah.
subconscious.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Some bullshit.
Well, folks, is that all we have to say about Evan Almighty?
Yes, C-.
Yeah, I'm at my D+.
Yeah, I'm sticking at my D, and it lands at a D+ overall. Tentative, of course. Tentative D+.
I'd say that's the most tentative of them all.
Yeah, for sure, dude. Just gonna give it like a fucking B+ or something ridiculous to piss me off. Anyway, speaking of B+ movies, we have Nico's pick this week, which was the 1971 film A Clockwork Orange, a Stanley Kubrick special.
Yeah, so Clockwork Orange, this is the film about, I don't know what his fucking name is, but
Alex
the Lion. This is a film about Alex, who he is the leader of a bunch of little gangsters in the UK in the undetermined future. And, you know, shit's kind of not so good there, but, you know, he's able to make it work because he's just, like, fucking beating and raping people all the time until the government decides, hey, that's no good, we're capturing you, young man. And, you know, after being imprisoned, he gets to undergo the Ludovico technique, where he is now no longer wanting to do any of those bad things, because if he does, he gets deathly sick. And hilarity ensues from there, where, like, you know, he fucking, like, commits suicide, but it doesn't work, and so the government likes him now.
I feel like you maybe slightly missed that they unbrainwashed him at the end.
I mean, I knew that part, but, like...
Okay.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Okay. Fun fact. So, you know, this is based on a book, a UK book even, and the major difference between, actually not even the major difference between the book and the movie. When the book was released in the United States, the US publisher decided to take out the final chapter, and so when they made the movie, even though it was made in England, they based it on that US version that is missing the last chapter. And what happens in the last chapter is, you know, he's unbrainwashed now, so he goes back, forms a new gang, and he's, like, doing the thing again. But the book ends with one day him just being like, you know what? This is fucking boring, actually. I think I'm too old to be doing this stuff. And he just kind of stops because he matured. So it's a much more hopeful note than the US version of the book or this movie leaves off on.
This really says a lot about society.
Yeah, I think I like that ending a bit more. Speaking of
I
liking
agree.
the movie a bit more, Tanner, where do you put in this one?
This is an incredibly odd film to like rank.
Yeah.
Right now I'm in between an A and an A-.
Hot damn, Jackson.
Right now I'm pretty solidly at A-.
Okay. That's quite fortuitous because I am also at A-.
Wow. So part of what makes it so hard to rank is, like, this really isn't a plot-driven movie.
No.
It's very much about, like, vibes and themes and, like, thinking things through and whatnot. And one thing I think is sort of like the central judgment call readers or watchers are trying to make is, like, whether or not the brainwashing thing is, well, I guess, just or a good idea or whatever.
That seems to be like the main talking point for the film.
Yeah. And to that end, I definitely think it turns into a bit of a Rorschach test, especially between, like, more left-wing or right-wing people, where, like, it's like, you know, if you're inclined to be truly disgusted by crime, you're like, yeah, brainwash them. And if you're not, you're like, oh, you can't make them not want to rape anymore. And one difference between the book and the movie that plays into that, and I predicted they would change this in the movie, is in the movie we see him, you know, pick up two girls in the you know, the album store, and he, you know, takes them home and, you know, has sex with them and whatever. In the book they're both 10.
Okay.
Yikes.
Fantastic.
So I feel like in the book it's much less ambiguous on whether or not he's an evil enough person to have had this done to him. Mm-hmm. Granted, the state doesn't, like, know about that crime in particular, but we in the audience do.
Yeah, and I mean, in addition to, like, the sort of idea of, like, do we, like, just completely remove, like, his ability to choose to commit evil, there's also the sort of discussion around, like, is doing that a just enough punishment for the crimes he committed? Like, shouldn't he be punished in addition to that rather than simply, like, change his behavior and let him back into society? Mm-hmm. Which is something that quite a few of the characters talk about throughout the film, is that, like, when he's talking to, like, that, I was about to say his mom's boyfriend, like, that new guy that moves into his parents' house, where he's talking about how, like, I'm happy that you're suffering right now. You should be punished. Like, you did a bunch of terrible things. I read it all in the newspaper. You deserve all this. Which, like, does he deserve that, guys? Does he deserve it? I'm inclined to say yes.
I am too, even without the child rape in this version.
Yeah.
Yeah, he fucking kills a woman. He's entering and raping somebody's wife in front of them and crippling him for life. He's pretty... Frankly, I think he deserves the fucking death penalty, but that's just me.
Yeah, I'd say so as well.
I'm inclined to agree, but, this is the UK, so they don't have it.
No.
I will say, I think it's a very interesting and well-realized world they've set up here. I don't know if you really think it through, if it makes much sense, but, like, the vibes of the world are cool.
I hate his constant Pixar smirking, though. He's always doing that Pixar smirking. It pisses me off.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's kind of interesting how, like, all of the world building is very visual. They don't really talk about it much at all. Like, clearly this is, like, a UK that's been taken over by communism in some manner, especially with, like, a lot of the slang words he uses are Russian-based. Mm-hmm. Like, he calls women, what does he calls them? He calls them, like, sherdrushkas or some bullshit. I don't know.
Yeah, whatever he refers to, like, men as or whatever, that's, like, young boy in Russian.
Yeah. And he calls his friends droogs.
Yeah.
I was interested to see that, unlike a lot of movies based on books, this one actually does include narration. So as a result, it actually ends up, in a way, a lot closer to the book than other adaptations, because we are getting those internal thoughts of the character. Although I will also say they do tone down the slang usage from the book.
Thank God for that, because I did not enjoy the amount they had in this movie as is.
I actually like the slang they use a lot. I think it was fun. It also reminds me of, like, Cyberpunk a little bit. I think this one goes even farther than Cyberpunk. It's just, the way they talk is just so funny. There's a lot of very quotable lines because of it.
Yeah, I mean, like, when he's fucking talking to those two women, like, picking them up at the album store or whatever, it's like he doesn't say a single, like, normal word to them. He's just babbling unintelligible nonsense, and then they come back to his room with him.
And that shit's hilarious, dude. I found it very
funny. I did like it.
So I think my favorite part of the movie, regardless of literally anything you guys have spoken of so far, is just the main character is a delight to watch. Regardless of his horrible actions, obviously. I mean, most of the movie is not him doing those horrible things. It's like him rehabilitating or being in jail or what have you. But he's just really fucking fun to watch. Like, I love him, like, very quickly following orders, just, like, getting through the motions of things. He's just a fun character. And he is certainly the driving force of the entire experience for me. I don't know if that's similar with you guys, or if you're more caught up with, like, the world or what have you.
No, I definitely like the character a lot. Liked watching the character. I didn't like his actions. Those were reprehensible.
Right. I was gonna ask you guys, I don't know if this is, 100% accurate or kind of just my subjective experience of it since I read the book. Is this movie really fast-paced to you guys?
Felt pretty reasonable to me.
Yeah.
Okay. Then I guess it is just because, I listened to the book first. I just kind of perceive the movie as being like, man, they're moving through this pretty quickly.
There was one part of this movie where it's when, like, his droogs, they're deciding they're having an uprising. They're taking the gang back from him. And he's just kind of, like, having it. He's like, all right, I guess that this is the way it is. And, like, as that scene was playing out, I was thinking to myself, like, I don't really feel like he would be like all that chill with this. This kind of reminds me of that time in South Park where, like, it's the Coon and friends, and like they were gonna do a bake sale instead of like, you know, fight supervillains or whatever the fuck. And so Eric, like, they were like walking down the street, and then Eric just fucking attacks Clyde or whatever the fuck. It kind of reminds me of that. I think I would have liked it a lot if, like, our main character Alex here, if he like attacked his friends after this to, like, you know, reassert dominance. And then they fucking did it. That was a reference to this movie all along. Oh my god, that shit blew my mind.
This movie has truly pierced through the cultural zeitgeist. There is a ton of stuff that is branched off of this movie.
Absolutely.
Love the style of it, especially they tone it down a lot after he like gets put in jail and shit. But the first like half an hour is so interesting. It's so weird and zany. The fucking milk shop is crazy. all the ridiculous shit they're doing. The whole opera scene, like fight thing is going on. It's just such an interesting world, kind of like what you guys said, but just like the way they portray it, the cinematography is so out there, the way they talk, it is such a weird intro to the movie. And honestly, that's what I expected the entire movie to feel like, and then it turns much more normal almost.
Yeah.
After that intro.
I will say that's kind of intentional. After he gets let out of prison, it's supposed to be that like the state has really started cracking down and cleaning up the city.
I didn't get that at all from the movie, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, just the atmosphere, fantastic stuff, loved it.
Yeah, I looked up that car they're driving. It's like some random fucking prototype or something. It's not like a production car, I don't think. It looked crazy, though. Very
yeah, I was going to ask you
strange.
about that car.
Oh, my brothers.
My little droogies.
My little Jewies.
Well, what does our Droog Dylan think about this movie?
And of course, speaking of C- movies, what'd you think about A Clockwork Orange?
Dude, it's funny you say C-, because you guys already probably know what I ranked it. I did, in fact, give this movie a fucking C-. How does one describe Clockwork Orange? Horny? Funny, question mark? Politically charged? Is this a politically charged movie? Am I correct in saying that?
I'd say not really.
No.
It's got some societal messaging undertones.
That's kind of... I thought this movie was trying to be smart of saying, like, yeah, this is, like, you know, the British fucking judicial or jurisdiction is fucked up. Look at how they're deciding to fix their messed up prisoners or whatever. Look what people are allowed to get away with or something. I think it's funny because you guys talk about not being able to understand people with accents. That wasn't even the problem. I couldn't understand a goddamn word these people were fucking saying because they were saying shit that didn't make sense. Like, half the phrases they said in this movie I didn't understand. And I just had no interest in what was going on. The plot did not interest me at all. I didn't think it was an offensive movie, which is why I gave it the rank I did. Because I'd certainly prefer to watch this over a lot of the other garbage we've watched. It's just, if there was supposed to be a message that I was supposed to get, aside, let me like try to translate what I thought the message was, and we'll go with that. I just was like, okay, you've got, and like, what did I say? What did I compare this movie to when I watched it? It was like The Warriors and...
I can see The Warriors.
Yeah, I was about to say, I can see The Warriors.
They're all allegories for the Odyssey, so...
Okay. This movie is just...
That might actually be true, I'm gonna be honest. I'd have to... I know The Warriors is. I feel like I could see this one being that as well.
Does somebody get arrested and fucking reformat as a person and their conscience chained in the Odyssey?
Kind of. Island of the Lotus Eaters.
In a very metaphysical way,
okay.
yes.
Yeah, this movie is just a hornier version of The Warriors. And, like, I get it. It's like, there are ways to, quote-unquote, fix people, to help them mold into society better, or however you want to say that. And then there's just wrong ways to do it, which is very easily portrayed by this movie. I just think that the way it was portrayed, and the way it was choreographed, and the way it was acted wasn't great. It wasn't very convincing. And plus, by like the end of the movie, I was kind of confused about what their message was going to be anyway, because at the end of it, they're just like, oh yeah, we're going to go ahead and undo all the work we just did to you. And then not only that, but we're also going to like take care of you so you stay quiet and, you know, are happy because we're apologizing for what we did to you. Which admittedly, I do think what they did was morally wrong. I think this movie is so confusing to deconstruct, and it's difficult because I want to say something. It's just going to sound wrong if I say it and not have the means to back it up. This movie is just confusing. That's kind of just the bottom line of it all. It was fine, I guess. I don't remember how long this movie... I feel like this movie was too long for its own good. It might have actually been the shortest movie we watched that week. Or this week, when this episode comes out. I don't know why I'm talking in past tense. But yeah, if you guys had any thoughts outside of that, I'd be so curious to know, but like, I can't imagine you guys having much more insightful thoughts on this movie than I did. Also, what the fuck is Clockwork Orange supposed to mean? What kind of metaphorical name is that? Is that something I'm not reading into enough?
Dude, that's something I totally should have brought up. Do they ever fucking mention that the paper that old man was writing is titled A Clockwork Orange?
No, I don't think so.
What?
They don't. Okay, yeah, I don't think they explain. So the idea behind it being called A Clockwork Orange is the guy is writing this story which describes the process of someone trying to make a orange into a clock. And the sort of metaphor there is that, like, you cannot have something that operates by, like, the precise sort of mechanisms and rules of a clock while still being a living, growing organism like an orange. Which is supposed to parallel the whole idea that, like, by brainwashing Alex, you're turning him into something that isn't alive. You're turning him into a clockwork orange.
Okay,
that
see,
makes
and
sense.
yeah, based on the breakdown that I just gave...
I can't believe I didn't bring up that they didn't mention
I meant to do that fucking too. I was in my notes. I just forgot to say it.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so given that, I'm glad I came to that conclusion on my own. Because, you know, in one way or another, most of the time, the title, if it's nonsensical, has something to do with the plot and the narrative of the movie. Ergo, we've watched, like, Vivarium and all those other... I'm gonna name one and not name any other ones. So I was like, yeah, Clockwork Orange has to be something to do with the movie. I just, you know, I don't ever bother to do the research you guys do. So, and TLDR, glad I could break down what that meant. I get it. I just didn't think it was very good.
Well, we were all significantly more positive on it than you.
It's just boring, man. I'm sorry.
2 A minuses an A, and your C minus dropped it down to a B plus from an A minus. So honestly, I expected a much more substantial drop than that. Only a single rank is not bad.
Yeah, you know, we can't always agree. That's the point of this tier list. You might as well, you know, have it right the first time.
Dude,
not have to go back and...
I will say a 5-second web search is saying that there is a surprisingly decent interpretation of A Clockwork Orange as being, like, kind of a reskinned The Odyssey.
God
Granted, I believe you can say that about literally all Western literature, but alas.
Well, oh well, live and let live or something.
Man, he hated it. God damn.
Yeah, I anticipate him not liking this one very much, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'd be shocked, to be honest.
Yeah.
I will say one other difference I kind of noticed is that I feel like there's more of an undercurrent of humor in the book that this one was kind of missing.
I was kind of shocked by how much humor was in this movie, though.
Yeah, it was a very funny movie. That's honestly one of the things that caught me off guard as well. I expected it to be a bit more serious, but no, it was pretty, like, just all the shit the character's doing. Like, it's always like you're watching a comedy act.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was expecting it to be funnier. Like, one thing that isn't included is, like, there's a lot of little catchphrases Alex has that he throws in a lot of the time that makes it be a bit more humorous in the book. Like he often ends sentences off with "Oh, my brothers" or something like that, or he's constantly referring to people's clothes as them being dressed in the height of fashion and little stuff like that.
Do you think you prefer the book or the movie more?
I guess I'd say the book mostly because I do like the ending where it does leave off on like, well, no, actually things can get better. Like, the movie definitely makes it seem like, oh, some people are just born evil, I guess.
Would you say he's not evil just because he starts like getting bored with it? Because that feels like it's the opposite of that. Like he's just like not interested in it anymore. It's not that he's like looked back and noticed it was reprehensible.
Well, I think saying that like maturing gives you some element of like moral clarity is a slightly better message, just because like it starts implying that like the environment you're growing up in matters more than just like being unchangeable or whatever. And like the author has kind of mentioned this also, where he's like, I like having that ending chapter because I think saying that people are capable of change is important. And it's funny, the audiobook I listened to started off with like a foreword by the author, and literally he's immediately like, yeah, I fucking hate that this is my most well-known work.
Based? I could definitely see that. Like, this is some weird shit I wrote. Why the fuck are you guys latching onto it so much?
Yeah.
I like the phrase ultraviolence. Let's go do a spot of ultraviolence.
A bit of the old ultraviolence.
Very silly. I love
like that he refers
vocab.
to everything as like the old... bit of the old.
My brothers, are we ready to give our ranks, my brothers?
Yeah, I'll stick with my A-.
I am too.
Wow.
I think I'll go ahead and bump mine up to an A.
You hack. Anyways, maybe an even more tentative rank than our last one of an A-, unsurprisingly.
But Jackson, a little birdie told me we actually have one more film that we're ranking this week. Is that right?
Yes. What the fucking director's name? Curry Barker?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, Curry, or wait, is it Curry?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It can't be Curry, can
Curry
it?
Barker.
Curry?
Curry, yeah, like
the food?
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyways, the whitest guy you've ever met in your entire life made a movie. God damn it, he did it. He used to be a sketch comedian, and now he's making movies, and he made Obsession, the 2026 film, which no one picked, but we all decided to end up watching eventually. I guess I'll get the plot synopsis of this one, too. A guy's having tough luck. He wants to get a girl. She doesn't want him. She's fucking his buddy. He doesn't know that. He wishes upon a star, and by a star I mean a little twig thing that he breaks, and she gets possessed by a fucking demon that's in love with him or some shit. I don't know exactly what's going on. They leave it kind of in the open, and hilarity ensues.
Oh, you got a fun fact for this one, Tanner? Huh, big guy?
I do. If my fucking dog will leave me alone. Fun fact. Hey, what the fuck? Jesus, I wrote so much here. In pre-One Witch Willow scenes, they filmed takes where Nikki was told she was interested in Bear, and alternate versions of them where she wasn't, and then they just kind of blended those two different takes together for the final cut.
Oh, that's fun. Good fun fact, Tanner. Good fun fact. I'm gonna call it right now that Tanner was not scared at any point during watching this film because he knows he could just kill Nikki. Anyway, I am giving this film an A. I liked it. Tanner?
I'm also at an A.
Whoa, Jackson?
I'm like tugging at my collar right now. I'm at a B+.
You piece of shit. You stupid motherfucker. I knew it would come to this.
This is what's funny is I looked at my ranking for weapons, which I had similar problems with this movie as that being, of course, just the mix of the comedy and the horror, especially with some scenes. I feel like this movie pushes it a bit too far for me. And I have even wrote down weapons as a movie I should probably drop the rank of as well, because I don't know if I fully agree with that at this point. But yeah, the movie's funny. I think it's scary. I think it's very effective at times. But it has scenes where some of it is just, you know, they're trying to blend it, and like from an entertainment standpoint, I don't hate it, but like it kills the vibes. It kills the momentum of what's going on. Like when he is rushing home after he's trying to get his buddy to wish to, like, you know, fix the situation for him. And there's like this really tense scene of her like threatening to fucking kill herself or something with a gun. And the buddy's out like, dude, open the door! I've got like $1 billion! He's just freaking out, and it's like, obviously it's very funny, but like it completely ruined the fucking tension of that entire moment for me.
When you were mentioning that the comedy killed the tension of some scenes, that was the exact one I thought of too.
And there's just like even like him like panically trying to like figure out more about the whole fucking wishing mechanism. Like he goes into the store and there's like the whole like fucking smiling French bit of like, dude, don't come at me with that energy right now. Like, what are we doing here? Just felt very out of place. Or even like him talking on the phone with the representative of like the company, like you can't do wishbacks or something. Very, very silly. I can see how it would like you would like this movie a lot more if all that stuff worked for you. And I think in a vacuum, those scenes are funny, but I just don't think added together with everything, it adds up to a product. So personally, that's just not my style of horror. And I think a lot of the other aspects of it are really effective. Like there is some really fantastic acting from our leads, notably the woman, of course, that make things feel very uncomfortable and hard to watch, which is absolutely what they're going for. But then they just sprinkle it in with those like weird scenes that just kind of take me out of it a bit, unfortunately.
I will say I think we've exactly pinpointed the difference in our rankings because those scenes did work for me and I liked them.
I was just gonna say it's tough because like in a vacuum, like I said, I think those scenes are funny and I think they're kind of good. Like there's hilarity in the fucking scene. I'm just like, dude, I got $1 billion! You're just like freaking out the door. I thought that was genuinely funny, but like it's just that total odds with like what the scene is also trying to do separately, which just hurts me, dude. It hurts me because there's like, I'm sure I could probably like this more maybe on a second watch when I can appreciate it for what it is, but like it just didn't work a little bit, I guess.
Yeah, I could see that. At the beginning, this film was like largely just effective and making me feel. I was feeling so much while watching this movie. like just at the beginning of the film where like Bear is absolutely fucking fumbling talking to Nikki, just like trying to tell her about how he feels. I just wanted to scream at just fucking talk to her, man. Oh my god, open your mouth, please, for the love of God. It was making me cringe so damn much. I hated that. On that topic, real quick, just to check in with you guys, do you think that Nikki would have said yes if he asked her out?
No.
I'm gonna cop out and say it's left intentionally ambiguous.
Yeah, but like, what do you think, Tanner? Give me a yes or no.
No. I'll say no because she knows the other girl was into him.
I'll also say no. That's kind of how I was feeling too.
Another question for the audience here. The main character is fucking a trash human being, yes?
Yes, 100%.
Perfect.
Listen, if we're gonna dive into the fucking discourse around this movie, I think it is reading a bit deep into what is really just kind of a traditional monkey paw story to like really assign too much weight to this guy. And maybe, I'm a fucking misogynist or a horrible person or whatever. I give a lot of leeway to the way people react in fucking supernatural scenarios.
The problem, though, is that there are lots of scenes, like, especially early on, you can see she's, like, really obviously trying to manipulate him. Because, like, presumably, they don't tell us exactly what's happening. I assume the girl got sent to fucking hell or something, and she got, like, replaced by a fucking demon or something that's inhabiting her body. So, like, the demon's trying to manipulate him into assuming that she is still Nikki and, like, they can have, like, a normal relationship and, like, work her way in. I can see him being normal about it then, but she starts doing some really weird shit, unexplainable stuff, especially that scene in the diner where she just like totally freaks out after he's given information that he probably shouldn't know. And like that should be setting off alarm bells and he should be telling people about what's happening. She's doing some crazy shit. She stood there and shit her fucking pants and pissed on the floor and stuff. She's screaming at him in fucking bed and stuff. Some crazy shit's going on. He even calls the dude on the phone and hears her fucking like screaming in like agony or something. Like honestly, the guy knows what's going on from like a high level because he's talking about it, with perfect hindsight of what's happening, regardless of, being like an anonymous phone call.
Let's also not forget when real Nikki is like, she's
like fighting
demon
to
Nikki
get out.
Sleeping or whatever. She like comes out and she's like, please, for the love of God, kill me. Please, I hate this. You need to kill me. What's his response to that, Tanner?
Well, yeah, but like, my thing is just like I don't find it totally unbelievable / unreasonable for him to be like, that's something that's so crazy and outside the realms of what I understand reality to be that I'm just not gonna think about it.
I feel like even the most damning evidence for me is just kind of like the subtle dialogue he says. So like, for example, when he's trying to talk about the wish, he's like thinking about changing the wish instead of just like canceling it. Like his initial assumption is he still wants this to be a thing. He just doesn't want her to be weird. So he still wants control over her. He just doesn't want her being fucking creepy and weird about it. So he still is fucked up beyond there. And then even past that, there's some moments where like he's just trying to get, like he knows it's not Nikki. There's a lot of dialogue later in the film where he's very apparently aware that it's not Nikki that he's speaking to, it's some fucking demon inhabiting her body. And all he's saying is, I just want you to be like Nikki, I want you to act like Nikki. Like, he doesn't give a fuck about this girl, he just wants, you know, the body or something. Or whatever his inspiration is. Like, he's just fucking trash. Like, he has all of these ways of, you know, solving a situation potentially or trying to get out of it, and he just, like, does it so poorly and stupidly, and it's just dumb. Not like from like the movie making perspective, but like from like him as like being a dog shit human being perspective.
Yeah.
I think that's all totally fair, and it really just is like I don't know to what extent that was actually intended to be read into it versus it just being like what if a genie wish fucked you up sort of story. Like I'm just going way more surface level with what this movie is going for.
And you know, if that makes you a misogynist, then that's just true. That's simply the truth right there. And a second thing that I want to ask you guys here then, third thing, I guess, in total. So, like, you know, I forget what the fuck his friend's name is. I'm just going to call him Gibby because he kind of reminds me of him. Gibby was 100% trying to sabotage Bear, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, they were fucking. He wanted her off his woman.
Yeah. Yeah, it very much so seemed like that's what was happening there.
Yeah, speaking of his buddy, it's very funny. Like, obviously, the director, this is like going back to his short form content. The director was the dude on the phone that he was talking to. I like immediately recognized his voice. He's got a really distinct voice. But the best buddy of our main character is like a really common actor in his like little short comedy segments as well. So it's kind of funny seeing him being a major character in the movie. I didn't expect that.
Oh, that's fun.
And to be honest, I wasn't like crazy convinced about his performance, especially just because like the way they shoot the movie, and maybe this is just like a meta criticism because I've seen so much of his like, you know, non-actual fucking movie content. But like, a lot of it just kind of felt like I was watching a skit he did. And frankly, that's not even like necessarily a criticism inherently because he puts a lot of effort into his skits. I don't know if you guys have seen any of them, but like the lighting quality and the cinematography and the acting is pretty fucking good throughout most of them. Like it's really high quality, well shot content. But because of that, I don't feel like his style evolved a crazy amount with the creation of this movie. It just kind of felt like he was doing the same thing he was doing in his short form stuff, but just, you know, long form and a bit more of a budget for some like wacky shit going on. If you catch my drift, like seeing a chick's face get fucking bashed, you know, the brick. I don't think he would have the budget to do that in one of his random short form videos or what have you. So that took me out of it a little bit, especially at the very first scene in the diner. Like, I genuinely just felt like I was watching one of his fucking videos. Yeah. And honestly, the aspect ratio doesn't help with that too, because if you're like watching a short form content, you're watching it like a 2x3, but like because it's like a full square, it feels like I'm watching like a short form video a little bit as well. all this is like really meta criticism. It doesn't really factor into my like rating or anything that much, but
I mean, you know, as someone who hasn't watched any of his stuff, I didn't notice any of that. I thought the filmmaking was generally very well done. Yeah, no, he's a good fucking director for sure. I definitely recommend going and just looking at some of his content. It's pretty good stuff, and he mostly does comedy. So I'm not shocked at all that bled into this movie a lot, which is also kind of why I draw a lot of parallels to Weapons, because Zach Krieger is like a fucking comedian. Yeah. So it's not shocking at all that he blends something else that he's interested in with like what his bread and butter is. I can't knock him for it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then to get into my thoughts, I will say, Nico, I actually did get frightened of this film. because, I did go, oh, she's demon possessed. And demons, I don't like demons, I won't say I'm afraid of demons, but I don't like them.
You should be.
Well, no, through the light of Christ, I do not have to fear the evil spirits of this world.
You turned your back on him a while ago, Buster. You got demons in your head at this point.
What the fuck? Anyways, I thought this movie was very good. I think it has an impeccably tight script. I really like it. I think it is incredibly well paced and whatnot. Good performances all around, and I think the cinematography is fantastic throughout. It's just a very, very impressive showing for a first-time film director.
I agree. I started fucking coughing in the middle of that. I agree.
This shit was so unnerving. Like, Nikki's performance was very freaky. Like, this girl can fucking scream, and it sent chills down me every time it happened. They did some really great work, as you said, with the cinematography. It was just like bathing her in darkness and obscuring her facial features, so your mind has to kind of like fill in the gaps of what exactly is going on there, like what sort of emotions she's even attempting to portray. And like at one point when she's standing in like the corner of the room just like watching him sleep and like crying, like it almost looked like her face was fucking melting when they like actually focused on it. It was freaky stuff. Just tons of great moments as far as those scares are concerned. Like that reveal when Bear's about to leave for work and the entire door is just fucking taped over, or like Nikki reading her weird ass fucking poem at the party, or like when she's showering and Bear is like trying to tell her that like he wants to go to the party without her, but she's on the other side of the door, we can't see her at all, we can just hear the fucking freaky ass shit she's doing in there. It's, oh my god, I was just super tense throughout this one. Just tons of good stuff.
Random scene that I thought was pretty funny is he's like in the bathroom, I think trying to like, he's like, it's like when he has the gun, he's like trying to figure out what the fuck to do. He's trying to get the pills to kill himself. And he's like, just give me a second, as she's like freaking out, banging on the door. And she's like, okay. And then she just stops and it's like walks away. That was very silly. I agree though, the scene of like her taping, we don't see her fucking taping the door, but like we see the expression of our character as he's like about to go to work and he's like acting really fucking weird, but we don't know why. And then it cuts to why we see it. It's just really solid filmmaking. He's got a great understanding of like scene to scene transitions and stuff, good cutting. He's just a good director. I'm very excited to see what this guy's going to do in the future. It's like a similar, again, I'm going to keep saying it. It's like similar with fucking Zach Krieger. I just want to see what his future things were, because this is a great first showing. I mean, obviously for Zach, it was his fucking second movie, but very solid first big blockbuster.
Here's a funny thought for you guys. So, the wish specifically was that she would love him more than anyone else in the world. Does that mean that there is one person in the world that she was like, slightly less, but basically this insane about?
Potentially. Yeah, she was a believer for sure.
There you go. She was a K-pop stan.
Yeah.
She was just homicidally in love with one of the BTS guys.
I don't even know if I'd read into it that much, given it was like a fucking demon possession. I assume it was just...
Yeah, I'm sure the point was that, like, it's just a figure of speech, but I found it funny to consider.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah, I guess as far as some other thoughts here, there's been a big trend in horror movies as of late, where they really like just having someone's skull get bashed in endlessly. And I hate it every single time. It makes me so uncomfortable. I really do not like it. Sarah got done so dirty there. I felt really bad for her.
She did, dude. She was a completely innocent party in all of this. She liked the main character. She could have been something with him, and he fucked up and got her killed. Especially in her scene of like, I'm probably gonna like make it in life. Bang, 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 bang.
Yeah. There were a couple tense moments with her. Like when they're at the party, and we see Bear sit down right next to her. It's like, okay, I know for sure that he is about to get a thing that says kiss the person to your left, and sure enough, that's exactly what happens. And I was fucking terrified that Nikki was about to fucking rip her limb from limb or something there.
I mean, it's still pretty fucked up, so I started, like, bashing her face in.
Yeah, no, of course later in the movie when they're in the car, we see that she has, like, that window wide up next to her, and it's like, okay, yeah, Nikki's gonna fucking murder her right here. Which is exactly what happened, just in a much more gruesome fashion than I would have liked, but c'est la vie, I suppose.
And then they show her dead body tied up to a chair naked with her face all smashed in, bro. Come on.
Fucking awful.
Yeah. I wonder, it was kind of funny in that scene how, like, it's very obviously just like a human mannequin puppet, whatever. But, I wonder if there's a take of that scene where they did it where, like, you see her coming from, like, a long way off, like, sprinting at the car.
That'd be funny. I could have seen them doing
really
something
funny.
like that. Like, they're showing it from, like we're looking at the front of the car perspective. We just see her, like, in the back in the rear view, just hauling ass.
Yeah. Apparently that, like, smashing face scene, by the way, was supposed to go on much longer, but test audiences did not like it.
I can imagine.
I respect it. Dude, what they pulled off with this movie with the budget is crazy, though. Like, you would not expect this to be, like, a sub-$1 million budget movie.
No, not at all.
They did so much with what they had. And I think it's just, they do a good job reusing sets. Like, there isn't a crazy amount of sets. They use a lot of just, like, real-world shooting. A lot of it's at night. So they don't have to, like, worry about, like, people and shit. They do a good job with what they have. Another random thing, I'm, like, reading my fucking notes. I thought was funny. It was, like, in the shop, trying to figure out what's going on with the sticks. And, like, that, like, near the end of the movie. And the dude was just like, have you tried, or, what the fuck was the exact quote? I wrote it down. It was, or you could kill yourself just spitballing. That was pretty funny.
That's a good one.
Like that, big fan. Like them looking at AI memes together in the opening montage of them being cute with each other.
Speaking of the store, by the way, so this is one thing that I noticed, which was that, like, with, like, the fucking, what are they called? The One Wish Willows, like, amongst, like, that whole display, there are also, like, a bunch of, like, the little Eyes of Horus, like, dotted around there of, like, some other products or some shit. Maybe it was also for the One Wish Willow. I don't fucking know. They were there. That's the important part. And on Nikki's wrists, she has tattoos of those as well. So I thought that, like, those are somehow going to come back into play, but never did. So I don't know what the fucking deal was with that. I don't know why they were on her wrist then, but, you know. It was a little detail I noticed that I thought would amount to something, but didn't. Also, I hated everything that had to do with the cat. Just, oh my god, that poor cat. It got done so dirty.
What the fuck was wrong with that demon, dude? Why would it ever think that he would want to eat his fucking dead cat? What's up with that? Stupid, stinking demons, man. They don't understand us humans, dude. They can't get in. They're inside of a human. They can get in their brain. Figure it out.
I just don't know. I don't know. I hated it.
Stupid, stinking demons, dude. I did actually really like the ending, honestly. That's probably one of my favorite parts of the movie, where it's like like the race against time of, is he gonna be able to kill himself, like to beat the fucking clock, because she got hold of a stick and was about to, like, deadlock them into fucking eternity with each other or some bullshit.
Yeah.
But he kills himself and saves her at the same time before she can kill himself. Very good. I like the ending a lot. Big fan.
It was very, very
piece of shit guy killed himself and the girl got freed.
Yeah, but unfortunately, like, she's gonna get the blame for all this shit. She's gonna be in jail for life, if not get the death penalty.
Yeah, it's better than being fucking trapped in hell for all eternity or what have you.
That's also true.
Do you think that counted as the demon's wish or hers?
The demons, I guess.
Interesting. There's your setup for the sequel, by the way.
Oh, yeah. I kind of felt bad for the demon, though, too.
Dude.
All it wanted was love.
Exactly. Yeah, it was created for the express purpose of loving this guy who could never love her as much as she loved him, and all he wanted was a different woman that she could never be. It's a little rough, you know.
I mean, I can't feel too bad. They, like, killed a motherfucker.
That's also true. But they didn't understand that was bad.
They don't know any better. They're a demon.
Yeah, they're a
demon. They're just a little baby. Overall, I like this movie.
Yeah.
But it's not like a perfect movie or nothing. It had its flaws for me. B+.
I know this is stupid. I'm a bit bummed out that I did like this / think it's better than Backrooms.
Same, yeah. It was solid, though. I enjoyed it. I'm sticking at my A.
I am also sticking at my A.
And unsurprisingly, it lands at an A- overall. Very
Wow.
solid week of movies here, boys.
That is surprising.
Yeah, we did have a pretty good week of movies here. I don't know if Dylan is intending on watching this one or not, but, overall, pretty good week. Evan Almighty was a bit of a dip in quality, but other than that, good times all around.
Yeah, 3 hits and 1 miss. I cannot complain about that.
No, certainly not.
But what we can complain about
Is Dylan still not telling us what his fucking pick for this week is? At least I'm assuming. Did he tell us?
Yeah, we had no idea. Guys, if you're watching
damn it.
this episode right now, go to guapish.com/movies and look at our upcoming review section and see what Dylan picked, because he can't right now. He doesn't fucking give it to us, that son of a bitch.
unless I insert him saying it right now.
Happy Feet 2.
I can't believe he picked that.
What? More bullshit. Maybe it was good this
Whoa.
time.
Something from his childhood that isn't very good in retrospect?
I can
No
scarce
way.
believe it.
What was the last good Dylan pick?
I don't
I feel
know.
like he had a banger not too long ago.
I would disagree. Anyways, guys, I never know what to really fucking do when it's just 2 of you
You
voting
should
on
pick
a movie here.
you want to watch.
I did that last time, so I think here, how about this? I am going to vote for the bad movie, but I'm going to vote last, of course. You guys have to band together to pick one of these 2 years, and if not, then of course the bad movie is going to get picked.
Okay.
So you guys have to both unanimously decide on what the good movie is and then pick it together to not get
Okay.
fucked on the bad movie. Anyways, the 2 years you guys have are 1988, and I think the other one was 2004. Let me fact check. Fact checking still.
Would he need to fact check the good one or the bad one?
That's a good
Problem,
question.
the problem is I just fucking looked at it. God damn it, where the fuck is it? I'm blind. Okay, no, it is 2004. It is 2004.
Here, I'm pulling up movies released in 1988. Let's see what we got here.
All right.
Cinema Paradiso. I'm not seeing... Oh, it could be Totoro.
Oh, shit. It's probably Totoro. That's such a good call.
Oh, The Naked Gun came out in 88 as well.
I know Jackson has a Naked Gun on his list for sure.
Oh, Akira is 88. I say we take the risk with 88.
All right, I'll go 88 as well then.
There we go.
Guys, you killed it on the first guess. I am, in fact, picking My Neighbor Totoro.
Holy
Whoa!
shit. I've never seen this movie before.
I
Holy
haven't
shit.
either. It's a fucking classic Ghibli one that people talk about constantly as one of their greats. I know nothing about it except for the character, and I've wanted to watch it for so long.
Yeah, I know Cat Bus is in this. I know Totoro is in it, and that's about it. I don't know what adventures they go on. I think Totoro's barely in the film, but...
Here's what it is. Fucking,
Yeah.
I just did the wrong command to roll our Patreon pick. Anyways, our Patreon pick this week is The Titanic, the 1997 film, as requested by Lava Skin.
Oh my
Thanks for the
God.
request.
Smokes, we got some bangers this week. Hot damn. Guys, I think we might be on easy street for a while here. We might finally be getting some good movies we get to watch. That's assuming Titanic's actually good. I don't people like it a
Yeah.
lot, but I don't know.
I know
if
nothing
I'll-
about the quality of it. I know that people compare it a lot to The Notebook, which scares me.
Oh.
Yeah, I was gonna say it exists in the same mind space as The Notebook for me, which doesn't bode well. But
Yeah, it's not good.
we get another Leonardo DiCaprio movie, eh?
Yeah.
This is gonna be our longest movie in a long time.
How long is it?
Titanic is 3 hours 14 minutes.
Oh my god. I mean, Django Unchained was about that.
2:45.
Yeah. It won't be like that much crazy longer. Anyway, Dylan also picked something. Who knows what that was? But if you too would like to request a film, just like our patron Lava Skin Dylan, Tanner is going to tell you all about how you can do that.
That's right, everyone. If you head on over to patreon.com/Guapish or guapish.com/Patreon, you can subscribe to us for only $1 a month. And with that dollar, you get early access to every episode, exclusive access to our pre-Guap show, you get access to our Discord server where you get 500 slime coin, you can talk to us, you can request topics, and you can request movies just like Lava Skin did, and finally, You get your name read out at the end of every single episode, just like I'm gonna do right now. Thank you very much to Dylan is my comfort character, Tarantino's favorite word, also I goon defeat, Slayed by Jay Blake, Netagant, Lava Skin, Top Ramen Man, Vidying Cine until my Gulliver hurts and my Glasballs start crawvying, Tutbot, Lucas Ledette, Hunter, and Jacob Edwards. Thank you all very much.
That's right, folks. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell, and be seeing you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.